I mean,
YouTube.
we are live to the YouTubers. Hey everybody, welcome to bonus content. Sup nerds? It's me. It's Alex. Scott's here. Tony's here. Jarrett's here. I didn't think of anything for bonus content, but I thought we could. Jarrett, maybe you could catch us up. What's going on with Evo? What's the word?
They're playing video games.
Shit, really? I hear this Dragon Ball FighterZ finale was very intense.
So it always is.
Yeah.
Turns out Dragon Ball is a really fun game to watch.
Yeah, it is. Can confirm.
I'm not sure if Arc Systems knew that when they made it, but they know it now, especially since last Evo. It kind of was like a huge hit, a bigger hit than anyone really thought it would be. But suffice to say, it's still a hit.
Yeah. Which is good to hear. I think that's nice to hear and confirm.
It is, and I think hopefully that kind of saves it from the kind of turmoil it's been in. Like professional Dragon Ball FighterZ has been in a weird place, thanks to all the licensing issues it has.
Oh yeah.
Though I don't think the grand finals for that happened yet. I don't remember.
I think they just happened.
I know Tekken's happening now. Do I think this is just 128? No, you're right. The grand finals did have. That was grand finals when
when
Go one of all people beat
Sonic
Fox. Kind of an upset, which is weird because Dragon Ball FighterZ isn't really Sonic Fox's game. Like he is very good at it. He's won tournaments for it. But
he won last year.
People, yeah, and that was kind of like a surprise. But like in the past year, his game is always his game is Mortal Kombat. He's the one. That's the game he's inevitable in. But it's been a competition for him in the past year. So getting the grand finals is going to happen probably, but that
it being like literally a follow-up story to last year, I think
it really is. And honestly, Echo Fox's team were kind of all comped to beat him. Like they were ready for Goichi, and that he pulled it out was actually really heartwarming. If you like wholesome stories.
Oh yeah, and I love a good wholesome story.
that's a wholesome story for you.
Yeah.
The Voldo player won this Soul Calibur grand finals, which is out of nowhere.
That's sick. That's
fucked up. Did you win with like the stab through your own chest?
No.
That's Yoshimitsu anyway.
That would have been a flex. That would have been a weird flex.
That would have been a weird flex because he would have been playing the wrong game.
That's rad though. Shout out to Voldo one time.
Yeah.
I like the fighter same is going on. I know Nabushin's there for point of reference for listeners.
Fucking cool.
Which is super rad. He's got very good seats for the Dragon Ball FighterZ.
I hope he enjoys his time in Las Vegas. Cool fucking town.
It is a cool town. You get into some whack shit going off of the stories I've heard from you, Tony, in Las Vegas.
Yeah, you can.
It's not even hard in Vegas. Like
you can, within 3 months of living in Las Vegas, be returning a fucking U-Haul at 8:30 p.m. and have a gun pointed at you.
Yeah.
So that's just like tip of the iceberg of my Vegas stories, bro.
Yeah, Chris, like the Vegas stories will never end, but what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Well, I'm not in Vegas anymore, and I will still tell you what happened in Vegas.
It's true. Yeah. Nabushin seems like he's having fun. He's got great seats for Dragon Ball FighterZ.
It seems like an awesome event to be at. Like, there's a lot of game events or whatever at this point. Like tournaments at conventions aren't great. Like the Magic tournament they do at PAX. Like what the fuck?
Yeah, a lot of people.
I can't imagine watching the E3 Fortnite thing live. Like,
yeah.
But Evo seems like a place for real people to go.
Yeah, for like actual
place for dudes.
Yeah, for dudes.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a very female-friendly event, unfortunately, but like neither is
esports. That's not what I meant by that. If you could be a dude and also be a female.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I I don't know of anyone that has gone to Evo that is not a dude. I'll say that much.
It's been my very shallow experience that the fighting game community is less problematic. A less problematic version of the rest of the gaming community.
Okay, cool.
It isn't without its problems,
Yeah.
and they're there. But
That's good. FGC, like I know nothing about, so. But I know Nabishin is stoked. He tweeted out earlier, "This is the craziest shit ever." I think something to those lines. But yeah, he seems to be having a good time. I don't know what else is going on with Evo because I guess tomorrow is the main night. I know Smash Brothers is happening.
yeah, apparently,
I don't know what else.
Ultimate is going off pretty well.
Yeah, I bet. It seems it's the first year for Smash Ultimate. It's obviously sold very well. A lot of people have played that game. A lot of people really like that game. So I think it's just going to be a good showing regardless. Just that first year energy, I think will.
Yeah, and it's like Smash. A lot of people show up for Smash and always have. And this is like the rise of the Melee players. They can finally like. Melee is like finally not on the main stage, but they have a game they can get behind that they actually want to get behind.
Mm-hmm.
And Nintendo themselves are supporting this as a competitive game, like directly. Like they kind of don't, or up until Ultimate didn't really accept that like people play Smash competitively.
People
like,
actually play Smash Brothers against one another. As it turns out,
they actually like doing it and want to play it at a high level, and are using the system they put in the game to like with under a competitive lens. And Nintendo has never really been here for it.
Yeah.
So once they finally got behind it, this is what happened.
Yeah, and like even the way they talked about Ultimate, like the Sakurai's videos and breakdowns for that game are way more technical and way more like giving you data that would be helpful for playing that game competitively.
Right.
So I feel like this is a good gear into this. I'm excited to see it. I guess also Janemba is going to be in Dragon Ball Fighters. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know who that is. He's some red dude.
Yeah, he's a red dude with like a sword, I guess.
Yeah, he's got horns.
Weebs know who he is.
Yeah. Somebody who loves Dragon Ball, tell us who Janemba is.
This one's for the weebs.
Yeah. This one goes out to them. It's that and Hit. Although I think I know who Hit is. I have a rough idea.
It's a stupid name.
It's a bad name. Who, Janemba or Hit?
Janemba at least sounds like an alien or some sort of exotic creature.
Yeah.
Hit, you're
Janemba is a little close to Genova, though. I'll be honest.
I know Genova was an alien, an exotic creature.
Yeah, it's true. It's just copping that feel, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, why not steal?
It's true. Like, fair. You know what? Actually, fair. Why not steal? Full stop. Jarrett, what have you been up to? How's the last 12 years since you've been on this podcast been?
I don't know. They've been fine, I guess. I don't know what I've done between now and the last time I've been on the show.
Do you do any new stuff outside of IP? We never talked about that.
New when? Because I feel like some of these things I've done forever.
Well, the last 6 months, let's say.
No, nothing new in the last 6 months. Maybe in a year. Like, I still write for Gamepedia, who is no longer was once a curse brand, then a Twitch brand, and now is a fandom brand.
Oh, damn.
So they've been bought and sold a couple times.
But they survived through all that. That's pretty good.
They did. Not without casualties, but they survived. I write for an English website called Pocket Tactics.
Nice. I remember. I've read this in your Twitter bio.
But that's not necessarily new. That's probably about a year now too.
Yeah.
And once in a while, I show up at PlayStation Lifestyle.
Yeah.
For reviews. How
often are you in a given week? Like, how often are you writing for Gamepedia, for Pocket Tactics, etc.?
I probably write. I would say at least once a week for someone else.
Okay.
Sometimes they converge, depending on content, because we're the two places. For Gamepedia, I do all types of stuff, but for Pocket Tactics and PS Lifestyle, I kind of only strictly review. So like when an opportunity arises that shows up, then it's the timing could be wonky when it comes to that stuff.
When was the last PS Lifestyle review you did?
I reviewed They Are Billions, the
Oh.
the PlayStation port for that.
Okay.
They Are Billions, it's an okay game. They Are Billions on the console, not great. Not the best version of that game.
I can understand.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I played on PC.
They do a pretty bad job of like converting the HUD for your controller. Like there are we've done this already, I think, enough times where like porting real-time strategy games to consoles that like there has to be a better way to map all this shit to your controller.
I agree.
And they just made no attempt to fight for that plan. So.
That's a bummer.
So
and
it
like,
just feels like garbage to play.
It's like you have to do so much work to get to things. And it's I'm going to die because I have to look at this fucking menu.
Bro, that's honestly how I feel about Super Mario Maker 2's creator on the controller.
Yeah,
so
it's wonky.
Very fresh in the mind.
And to be fair, Mario Maker was made with a touchscreen in mind.
Oh yeah,
they made a Wii U, and they never. And again, another like they didn't really adapt it very well.
I think that they tried really hard. I think that it's also a very difficult problem to solve for them.
Yeah, I like.
But that's a whole different thing entirely.
Yeah, I appreciate like the wheels and stuff, but I don't know how well they work.
Still don't have that fucking Super Bowl.
This goddamn Super Bowl bullshit. Yeah, I was just curious because like I don't necessarily see a lot of the other stuff that you write, and I
do a bad job of promoting it too.
Yeah, it's true, you do. I will certainly dock you for that, but I know you do a lot of stuff. For folks watching or listening, like your content on IP has become a lot more of like you're kind of bringing a similar thing to the table with different games in mind and adapting it differently, like features in place of reviews. I've talked about it a little bit on here before, and I think that's cool. But I also imagine that can be... Do you find that more taxing to write something like that versus a review?
No, I actually prefer it because there are things I probably don't want to talk about as far as a game is concerned in a review, where if it's just a feature, I don't care. Like, I don't have to talk about the music if I don't think it's very compelling. Not that you should in a review. And I think that's always been the weird dilemma when it comes to calling a review. Like, what constitutes a review for a video game?
Yeah. Like, I reviewed Sekiro and I never talked about the prosthetic arm.
Right, which is like a very important thing in Sekiro. And it's not important to you, which is why it's your review. Yeah. But is there a baseline amount of things you should be covering?
Yeah.
As far as a review is concerned, like, to avoid that completely, I don't even put review on the features I'm writing anymore, really.
Yeah.
Like, and I try to take a particular take that's direct. Like, I'm working more to develop headlines and theses that are like...
You're working the angle. You have something that you're trying to say.
Right.
And I get that.
I would prefer, like, just kind of taking an angle and focusing on it. Like, my Nowhere Profit piece reminded me that was kind of about Nowhere Profit, but also about Magic Drafts.
Yeah.
Or not about Nowhere Profit, Slay the Spire.
Yeah. A game that's on Switch now. Fun fact.
I feel like that is a way more interesting take than any review I could write about Slay the Spire.
I agree. I'll take your side on this one, Jarrett. I think like my approach has become more and more like incorporating that kind of style into my reviews, but I still like the kind of more arm's length critical nature of reviews. There's something comforting in that.
I think it can be. It's just I don't like the requirement to do so. I still do it, obviously, so it's something I can do. It's just if I don't have to do it, I don't want to do it.
I like to think, maybe I'm just full of myself, but I like to think that my reviews don't read like necessarily everyone else's.
Well, I don't know that everyone... I think my problem with just kind of reviews in general, it's just like, I don't know, is this more interesting than you taking just a particular angle and just kind of are taking many angles and writing many features about these instead of trying to put sort of a critical lens on the entire thing and then never talking about it again, really.
Yeah. That's a fair point. I think like reviews are kind of climactic. They end.
They do. And I think I wish, if more reviews were willing to talk about how bad games are, then I'd probably be more interested in them.
That's fair.
But if we're just gonna like write a thing that talks about all the good parts and kind of just doesn't really discuss the bad parts, then why even call it a review? Like,
yeah, it's funny. Like, a friend of the show, Greg Blaney, I was talking to him relatively recently, like a week ago, and he was telling me like how he's trying to write like short movie reviews on Instagram, and that's like a thing that he's putting a lot of heart and soul into. And he pointed out like he feels like a lot of reviewers get really nitpicky, like they get hung up on one or two things, and that's why they're more critical of movies. And he wants to be more positive about it and talk more about it. And I challenged him with the idea that I think those things, the small things, can absolutely ruin a bigger thing. But I don't know. I think like maybe that's like the influencer thought process, and maybe that's just it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and all reviews have just kind of become that. But
I think it's pretty unfortunate that reviews, like Jarrett's saying, do kind of gloss over the negatives in favor of like, let's focus on what's positive, and then we'll slap like a mediocre score on this thing that isn't great.
Yeah,
right. Or if it is, or it's supposed to be great. Like,
right, exactly.
Like they can put an 8 on something and like talk about a bunch of things in like sort of context that like, all right, I can see where this is good, or this is like a version, maybe a more adapted or a better version, or maybe not even better, just another version of this old thing that we did, and it's not offensive, so 8. And I don't like that.
Yeah,
like why not? If you're gonna write a review about a 7, don't write it like you're writing about a 9.5 or a 10.
Yeah.
Right. If I read your text and I don't know if you like this or not, or I can just assume you like it and assume that if I touched it, then there'd be no problems. I would also like it. That I feel like you failed me in a way. And I'm just a more critical person, so maybe that's not true. Maybe I will always feel like you failed me, but
those are words I hear often.
I think there's an obligation to a reviewer to, I think, not only speak critically about things that are not just bad, but also maybe like rote or run of the mill. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of your requirement to kind of know what to look for when it comes to that kind of stuff, to be well read, if you will.
I think,
go ahead, Tony.
I was going to say my favorite reviewer of all time, John Bain, rest in peace, Total Biscuit, really kind of identified with a lot of that, where he wasn't afraid to kind of call out games for their bullshit. And while perhaps overly critical at times, it really like lets you kind of look at games in a different light than a lot of other reviewers. Mm-hmm. Where like he could take a game that like, other popular media sites have rated as like 8, 9, or 10 or whatever, and be like, yeah, the game is, the content of the game is pretty good, but here's the bullshit. And as a consumer, that's really helpful. Especially like he was pretty well known for his tearing into PC ports. Like, hey, here's how they fucked up the PC port this time. Just super relevant to anyone who's looking to buy that game on a PC, so they don't buy it and they're like, well, this doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
So
and
it's really like nice to see that in reviews in general.
I was gonna say another person that fulfills, I think, that role, albeit in a different style, is like Gerard the Completionist. Like, obviously the kind of the arm's length takeaway from that is like he's playing games in his way that is like very specific of doing literally everything, but you get an appreciation for games that you might like, but the idea of playing through every aspect of them where you never will, right? It gives you a new kind of sense of like, oh, like there are things that become problems with this game depending on how you play it, and it calls those things out and identifies them a lot better too.
And it's important for you to know who you're speaking to when you do these things. Like if John did anything well, It's that he knew his audience were people who were playing PC ports.
Oh yeah.
And he knew exactly what they were looking for because he was looking for them too. And you know, he played a game a particular way or looking for particular things in it, and a lot of people who followed him were also looking for those things. So he served his base when it came to reviews, like pretty particularly.
Yeah.
I think you could say the same maybe on the other end or other spectrum when someone like Dia or Austin Walker review again.
Yeah.
If something is if there is an issue in a narrative way that kind of rubs culture or rubs stereotypical portrayal and all that kind of stuff the wrong way, I can rely on them to call it out. Where if I were going to write their review, I may not have thought about it as a problem. And I still may not think about it as a problem after reading their review of it. Like the middle of Austin Walker's Monster Hunter review is like touches on the idea of sort of overhunting and hunting for sport and like the idea of colonialism and how like there's no check to the unbridled like conquering and exploring that goes on in Monster Hunter. And that is an interesting point. But also, in my opinion, Monster Hunter doesn't give a fuck about any of that. So like that's why they don't talk about it, because they don't care.
But like if you're looking for that kind of like
right, but it's an interesting thought I never thought about.
Yeah,
and like you might have thought about it. And if you were not a Monster Hunter fan and this is your first Monster Hunter game, maybe you're thinking about it in different contexts too, and that might be something you're thinking about. So that serves someone.
Yeah,
not all reviews have to serve everyone. But I think you require some sort of mastery or some sort of, I don't know, even if it's just like a routine that you and an audience has, or you and a particular theme, and your particular, I don't know, content source has, that I can rely on you to give me the take on that, then yeah, I think it's valuable. Other than that, like I'm not going to be very good when it comes to reviewing particularly like many games for lots of people, because I'm not thinking in the mindsets. I don't know what somebody wanted from Kingdom Hearts 3, so don't ask me for the review.
Yeah,
I'm going to tell you what's bad.
But by the way, I'm writing the review of Kingdom Hearts 3 for Irrational.
I already wrote and published a review. I'm sorry, Tony. I'm sorry you had to find out this way.
My Kingdom Hearts 3 review is forthcoming.
see the second review for Kingdom Hearts 3 on IRationalMagic.com.
It'll be exactly 60 sentences long.
For the $60 that you have to spend, $1, one sentence. Scott,
yeah, you can probably get that game for like $20 now.
Some really smart person probably wrote some reviews like that. You know,
probably some beautiful, handsome, blonde-haired, lovely man on this very podcast. Scott, you were gonna jump in there, and you've been very quiet, so I want to give you the opportunity to throw out your opinion here.
Well, the moment's passed.
Yeah, I knew you wanted to say something about the colonialism of Monster Hunter stuff.
But it's like, that's one of those things where that belongs in a feature, not a review.
Yeah, especially you phrasing it, Jarrett, like it was like this part in the middle, right? It does feel like it's that idea that you said, Jarrett, of like, could this review have been that feature more thought out, and then maybe a couple other features also equally as thought out?
I think it's just the way Waypoint does that shit.
Yeah.
Like their reviews are features, and like that's just kind of what they're gonna do. They're gonna write what they feel, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine.
Wrong.
But it's like that's a further convolution of what the review is supposed to be. So it's like, I mean, I'm not a person. I'm gonna review purist when it comes down to it. Like I don't really give a fuck like the format of your review. I just want to read it and feel informed or entertained, or both by the end of it. You know, to each their own. Everyone has their own style of doing these things. I just don't find the value in attempting to have this overarching scope of a thing where I don't give a fuck about most of it. I want to talk about kind of what I took away from this thing, and that might just be one little thing, one little piece, or one little mechanic.
If you have enough to say about it, then all means, you know. I don't know. I catch people definitely glossing over the negative. And not elaborating enough on why it's a problem. And I've like when I've edited pieces, I've definitely asked for more, but I've also I've been like guilty of that myself. I was guilty of that with the Sekiro review, and then you had me like really focus in on the three things that I was like kind of talking about, and it made it a lot better a review, I think.
And it's important, I think, to focus on a negative, because if you really are trying to explain to a person about this game who has no interest or has an interest, it's important to know what might dissuade you. Like, there are plenty of games, like, for example, and this is like crossing into, I guess, the actual show proper, but I've been playing Breath of the Wild recently.
Yeah.
And if I took everyone's review, like the 10s and the 9s and the Twitter sort of hallelujahs being said about Breath of the Wild to heart and bought this game 2 years ago, I'd be disappointed. I think the space is required, and me reading the kind of negative takes, I mean, maybe not the hot takes like the one from what the website that's now no longer here that I remember, where they gave the game like a 5.
Yeah.
It's important to know that this game is empty and you spend a lot of time not talking to people. And is a lot of rote running around and catching things, and the fast travel is not the greatest.
You got to jump into the menu to cook every single time.
Yeah, you have to cook every single fucking thing. You have to put things in your hand and then physically go cook it. You can't make a list and like hotkey any of this shit. That's all very important to know.
Yeah. But like
that, knowing that going in tempers my expectations and makes me like the things that are good about it more.
Yeah. That's true. That's fair. Like, nobody talks about the bullshit. That's what you know what, Jared? This is honestly, put the bullshit in your reviews. No gameplay, no hype. We got to start a new platform.
Put
the bullshit back in reviews. No gameplay, no hype. These are the two Jarrett credos.
Listen, give out more 6s is all I'm saying.
Fair.
That 7 you're giving is probably a 6.
6 means okay, and it's probably just okay. Let's be real.
It's probably just okay. If you're not going to talk about this game in 3 months, don't give it an 8. Sorry.
I think that's good bonus content there. You guys want to talk about video games?
Sure.
Okay.
Good conversation, guys. And we got a little bit from everybody. Sorry, Scott, that
I wasn't even sure Scott was here.
Yeah, I was gonna give Scott a chance to just talk about whatever the fuck he wants, but we gotta get started.
Yeah, okay.
Janemba is from the movie Fusion Reborn, says Justin Graffius. I'm letting that one sink in because I know it was very impactful to all of you. Fusion Reborn. I forget. Was that the? I think that was the one that takes place between the Cell and Boo Saga. I'm not sure. We'll never know. I'm gonna refill my water real quick before we get started. And
should I be recording this, by the way?
No, remember when I? Oh, that's right. You weren't in the room.
I wasn't.
Tony's got an audio issue. Can't record. So we were just gonna rip the YouTube. So you don't have to record.
Even better.
We're flying by the seat of our pants, though. Here.
Fixed soon, TM.
Fixed soon. For now. Just for now. But just keep in mind if anything disconnects or gets cut off in Discord, that's how it's gonna sound. So I will be right. Okay, thanks, Jared. I'll be right back.
Same.
Girl, don't. Not in this economy is good. It's a good clapback.
Mm-hmm.
I said JK! I know, Nicole. I know. We both miss Nobishin. It's okay. Oh. My video first.
Oh boy.
There we go. Let's...
This is surely an evening.
This is surely an evening.
Kind of in this like weird state where I'm not really sure what's happening right now because I'm like delirious from lack of sleep.
You're in a fugue state?
I guess.
A fugue state.
You're.
I guarantee you, I won't remember shit about this podcast when I wake up tomorrow.
I never remember anything about the
And
podcast.
that's not even me being drunk. It's just.
That's just who you are.
It's just my life right now.
Do you have tomorrow off?
Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude. Sleep in, baby. You deserve it.
I have completed my 63-hour work week.
Jesus Christ almighty. Hey, at least you didn't work 14 hours a day.
True. I got close,
I'm sure you did.
but true. That's only happened once. And I actually, I had to go to a mandatory meeting on my first day off this week. It's only like 30 minutes long, so it wasn't too bad.
Damn.
But like right after that meeting, they were like, "Hey, we need to talk about something." I was like, "All right." And they're like, "Hey, on this day that you worked 14 plus hours, you're not supposed to do that." And I was like, "Yeah, well, I was already the policy is I just have to be back at the warehouse before the 14 hours hits because I'm technically not on public roads anymore." And I was just doing inventory and shit before I left. There was no big deal. They just wanted to make sure because otherwise it's a big deal.
It is, yeah. Don't want to get fined by the man.
For a fucking like $11,000. Fuck.
Yeah. All right,
They find
let's.
you when you work over.
No,
What's up?
but
They
the
found the employer, I imagine.
What was the question?
If you work too many hours,
What about it?
they find
They don't-
you or the.
they don't find you
employer.
directly. They
Oh
would
no,
find the employer.
no. So this is the federal government would
Mhm.
find me who worked more than 14 hours.
They wouldn't find you
14
directly.
Yeah, they would find me directly $11,000. They would find
Really?
the company significantly more than that.
I didn't
But-
realize they could find individual employees.
So the job that I am working requires an active Department of Transportation, which is a federal entity.
okay, so since you're like you have
Because
a
I am
certificate of
federally
certification-
regulated,
Yeah, all right,
they get to do some bullshit.
Back under the man's thumb.
that
Yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense. That
I
makes
don't
more
know.
sense.
It's pretty fair. Like they just want to make sure that it's not. It's really. And the day that I worked that long, I was driving back at about 13 hours and 45 minutes. I was driving, back from Rockville, Maryland, over to Beltsville, where I work, which is like a 40-minute drive or whatever. And I was feeling like, yeah, no, it is not safe for me to keep driving after this. Because, man, I am out of it. I have been working for so long, and I'm very tired and exhausted. So it definitely makes sense, like, why the regulations and stuff are there. Like, the other regulation is I have to have at least 10 continuous hours of being off between shifts before I can work again. So, they're just trying to make sure that, like,
You don't
people aren't,
kill
like,
yourself on the
churning and burning for, like, 20 hours a day, driving, then sleep for 4 hours, and then get up and drive again. Which my job wouldn't be like that ever.
Yeah.
But,
No, but it makes sense to protect
makes sense why it's there.
you from yourself and
be everyone
themselves.
else on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I'm driving like a 14-foot long, 11-foot tall truck that takes up most of the lane. So, you don't really get as much swerve room.
right. You're off your game. You fucked everybody up.
Exactly, yeah. You're swiping people in 2 seconds like Scott.
One time, dude. Just let it go.
Scott, I don't
That
need you to...
bicyclist deserved it.
That bicyclist had it fucking
That's not what I
coming,
meant. I
dude.
meant when Scott got sideswiped by a truck.
Yeah, but that was fucking horrifying. All right, Scott almost died.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Not when Scott almost killed a man.
Oh,
When he
that's-
himself almost
that's
perished.
a
on the road.
horror.
When Scott almost died, yes. True.
Yeah, but anyway.
yeah.
My job sidebar aside, I don't know what the fuck is happening right now. My entire body feels like it's 6 to 12 degrees hotter than everything around me.
That's good.
So that's good.
You
I'm pretty sure if I got
goodness.
I'm pretty sure if I got into a cold shower right now, I would immediately pass out.
you,
Oh, nice.
you probably have the plague, I would say. Do you want to?
Yeah.
Do you want to hop off? Do you want to go to bed, Tony?
No, I'm okay. I got delicious food. I'm just gonna be here, and I cannot guarantee absolute quality from me all night. But who knows? We'll just live with it.
Yeah, we'll see how the night goes.
You said have a good time, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just have a
I'm
good
just
time.
here to have a good time. I'm all smiles over here. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice.
I can literally hear it in your voice.
Hell yeah, dude.
Cool. If you need to bounce to get some rest, though, feel free. All right, let's get cracking. It is Saturday, August 3rd, 2019, and you are listening to the Irrational Passions podcast. I am Alex O'Neill, your host. We are about to embark in a fighting tournament of podcasting forever. That's what this podcast feels like sometimes to listen to, according to Jarrett Green, who is here, and I'm ready to confirm it, Jarrett.
Round one.
It's true.
Fight.
I lose every time.
Also here, as always, my wonderful co-hosts and your fighting competitors, Mr. Scott Guth here.
I figured out how Loopy Scott happened.
How did it happen, Scott?
Yeah, you got to introduce everybody else first.
Tony Horvath is also here.
Okay.
And Brian Nobishin Jackson is not here. He's at Evo in Vegas, having a good time, having a grand old time.
I hope he goes to Fat Tuesdays.
I really do, too. I hope he has, like, all the food. Everywhere. In all
Fat
directions.
Tuesdays is like a requirement. You gotta go.
And Canes. We should tell him to go to Canes, too.
Oh yeah, do visit Raising Canes. I know you're fucking listening to this podcast.
Nobishin's probably watching. No, he's actually watching Evo, but he's probably watching live as per usual.
He's like got one earphone in, that's us, and the other earphone in,
That's the room in front of him.
no, just piped directly into his earphone.
Yeah, just piped into him to get the hype. Jerry,
It's like the other screening room, you know what I mean? So he gets to like listen to one fight, see the other fight, and then listen to us.
too much sensory overload. Mostly us, though. Jerry, you're here from the editorial side. Hi.
I am
Welcome back. It's been a while.
making my grand return.
Yeah. You've certainly been on this podcast more than anybody else, guest-wise. Although I guess you're not really a guest. You're part of the family.
Is there another more frequent guest?
I can't think of
Other
it.
than post-hostship Nobishin?
Yeah, right.
Or pre-hostship?
Pre-host, but like, it was like 3 episodes, and it's like, all right, you're on the show now. You have to deal with this.
Yes.
Justin Graffius is probably up there. He's been on a lot of podcasts.
I think Trevor's been on like 5.
Trevor's probably. I feel like Trevor's been on maybe 3 or 4, but I don't know. He would probably know better than I. Logan's been on a lot, but he hasn't been on a while. Maybe he's only probably like 3 times. Jerry, you've probably been on like 8 or 9 times.
I am way over that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think last time I checked, it was like 13 or 14.
Okay. Yeah. Then it's
Of
definitely.
course, I haven't checked in years, so I could be just lying to myself, but who the fuck cares? I'm
Yeah.
going to say it's 13 or 14.
It's canon to me.
Yeah, it's real to me. Goddammit. So I didn't pull any questions this week, so to try and keep the podcast at a more reasonable length, to be respectful. So let's get right into it. Evo's happening right now. I don't have a lot of news on it. I know who won the Dragon Ball FighterZ finals, but I don't necessarily want to spoil that for anybody watching live. But I hear it was good. I hear it was great.
Someone
Actually.
say it's good.
It was lit, I believe. Nobishin said it was lit, so it must be. So we won't necessarily have much on that, but we talked about it a little bit during bonus content.
I also asked for, I think I solicited for questions on Twitter.
Oh,
we
did
might
you get some?
questions.
Okay.
I don't know yet. I'm just saying I did. So
Okay, excellent. We won't necessarily be talking about the Evo results, but we talked about that. Irrational Passions, youtube.com/Irrational Passions. The YouTube version of this. You'll be able to hear that in our bonus content, which was fun. Let's get into the housekeeping. IrrationalPassions.com is a website that this thing is on as well.
neat.
Neat. That's how words work. I usually am a little bit more elegant with it. We got a lot of stuff happening. Jared, do you have any? I want to know if you have like a personal favorite from the recent stuff that's gone up.
I know Scott and George landed a pretty cool interview with Brian Bernal, who runs the Polymega, or Play Meiji, I think is the name of the company. He's the CEO of the company who's basically making a modular sort of retro system.
Yeah.
Called the Polymega.
Which I had not heard about until they like scored this interview.
I hadn't either, but apparently it's kind of a big deal if you're in that circle, because the idea is you can buy these things in pieces, and I guess it emulates different consoles depending on the pieces you buy. I don't know how far it goes. Like I think you can emulate up to like last gen, maybe, or something like that. I don't remember, but it's a pretty big opportunity for them, and I'm glad they got it.
Looks like it goes up through PlayStation 1.
Okay.
If it did PS3 games, that would be pretty wild, Jared. I know
It also might be like that feels illegal, but
yeah,
whatever.
that's certainly illegal. the
don't know
PS3 is
shit.
still a thing that you can buy on the market. But
it's you're definitely playing with fire there.
it looks like 30 different consoles are supported, which is pretty rad.
Also, Input 100 just happened to feature Belinda Garcia, new hire over at Pop Agenda. I wasn't on that episode, but I edited it, so I feel like I was a part of it.
You were there in spirit. It was scheduling conflicts. It happens.
But I'm glad these things are turning, like the idea for some of these projects were the opportunity to do these kind of things. And I think recently we have.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that starts a ball that continues to roll.
Yeah, it's some really cool stuff. Most of it I have zero part in. I have my own project I'm working on right now, and Jarrett just meets it with a frown and a shake of the head. But
what else can I do?
Yeah, it's fun. I teased it out on Friday, on Twitter. People listening to this podcast, they might already have a better tease or a clear idea of what it is, but we'll see. I want to make sure we announce it right, but Logan and I are working on a thing that I'm pretty excited about. But Input, this Polymega interview, all this stuff you can read or listen to, rationalpassions.com. It's the place to be. Input 101, also already up there. It's happened. Any highlights for July? Mike put that together as well. 4 games this time, which is really cool. It continues to be a great little feature that he puts through every month. Some point I will do one, but he's already got August planned out, so that's all the irrationalpassions.com stuff though. Let's get into video games. Jarrett, man, what you been playing? What you into now?
Video games. I remember those.
Yeah.
So I said yesterday, I have a game that I think you and Tony might be curious about.
Yeah.
I got a code, kind of non-solicited, in my email. I want to say a couple weeks ago. And I followed up with them because I got the code, I think that was supposed to be in conjunction with a new sort of, I guess, character release or something in this game that's, I guess, early access. I'm not 100% sure.
A lot of questions on this one.
I got a lot of questions. I looked, I did no research. I just kind of put the code in and started playing like 2 days ago.
Sure.
It's called Neverynth, as in the never-ending labyrinth.
That's good.
That's is essentially, it's a Dark Souls-like game. So that sort of quote-unquote heavy dungeon crawling sort of risk-reward combat.
It seems to have anime girls, Jarrett.
And waifus.
All right. All right. You
have my attention.
You have my attention.
The levels are proc-gen, so no run is exactly the same, but it has stages in the same way that like
Shout out to
Dead
Jarrett
Cells
saying
has stages. It's just, think of it like a 3D Dead Cells almost, right? But there are 3 weapon classes, like a greatsword, a sword and shield, and a katana, and there are 3 characters, and each one of them kind of specialize in one of these. Anyone could use any of them when you just find them randomly in the world, but in particular, particular characters are better with particular versions of this. It reminds me, it's like faster paced Dark Souls is almost like it's like Neo, but not as, even Neo is like a bit heavier and more grounded than this game. Literally with the great sword, you can just like leap across the room and just like
Fuck yeah.
braver people with it. Like,
Now,
but
Tony,
I do find it to
Braver
be
is a move from Final Fantasy VII, a game that
Yes.
you probably hate for no rational reason.
That's not true.
I know, I'm just
don't
kidding.
hate Final Fantasy VII.
I know you don't.
I mean, Final Fantasy VII is not the best one, but that's fine. People can think what they want. But I thought about you guys with this game because of the waifus.
I appreciate that.
I like that I've been typecast as such.
You absolutely have it.
Nice.
I think we've achieved maximum us, Tony. I think that's what that means.
I don't know if this game is any good, really. I played like 3 hours of it, and I still don't know how I feel about it, really.
Uh-huh.
But I thought the prospect of anime titties and Soulsborne combat might be enticing to someone else who isn't just me.
So some other irrational passions person that can really add a lot to the conversation.
I can really just who I might say is the expert on such things.
That's fair.
Who could that be?
Who could that be? Yeah, I'm watching a little bit of gameplay right now. It looks pretty rad.
It's
It's
like
me,
fun.
I'm that boy.
Yeah, it was Scott actually the whole time. Least expected. He was way into the mechanics of it.
Scott is actually cosplaying as Dio right now.
I believe that.
I don't know what he looks like, to be perfectly honest.
He looks just like you, Scott. 100%.
Oh, that's the easy one. Easy cosplay.
Yeah.
Crushed it.
Nice.
Crushed it. Dude, you nailed it. Yeah, it sounds cool. I imagine that there's maybe going to be more to it in a final version, but that sounds interesting.
Probably. It's clearly very early. The character they added also added a third weapon, so there's 3 characters and 3 weapons. I feel like there's probably more to be had here. And I only beat the first boss, so I don't know like how many levels there even is to go through before you run back to the beginning. So
I was just going to say earlier, I didn't mean to talk over you, Jared, but shout out to you using the term proc-gen on this podcast, bringing some actual fucking intelligence to this.
So I'm a professional.
You're a goddamn professional. That's
I don't know
for
about
sure.
you guys.
We try. We do
Only
our
on
thing.
Wednesdays.
Only on Wednesdays. Too bad we record on Saturdays.
Yeah, fair. That's not really lined up, huh?
No, we manage. What else have you been playing?
I am playing League of Legends. I hear some people on this podcast play that too.
I don't know. I don't know about that. How do you feel before we go at all into this League of Legends conversation, Jared? I want to know, how do you feel about Aurelion Sol?
The Star Dragon guy?
Yeah.
So I've only played as him once.
Okay.
But
That's the typical experience.
I think it was an ARAM game, so it wasn't even an appropriate way to understand what the fuck was going on. But I like him in theory.
Okay.
He's like a zoner, doesn't really have to do a whole lot to hurt you. You just like run up on him and he's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna leave," but while I'm leaving, I'm just gonna hit you with things when you chase me. And I feel good about that. I like doing work with no effort.
How do you feel about that,
shit.
Tony?
This is the exact like sentiment of the entire League community that doesn't play that champion.
I have no idea what it takes to be a good solo player.
Yeah, but like just the idea, like, you know, he's just gonna walk around and do free damage. It's very much not that. He's asking because I one-trick Aurelion Sol.
No, that sounds right.
That's what, again, this
As
was
an Alawi player, I'm like, I don't know what I can do here. I guess I'll just roll up on him and see what happens. Oh, he's gonna leave. All right, I guess I'll leave too.
I guess I'll go this way. How do you feel about teamfight tactics, Jarrett Green?
So I played a lot of auto chess, like the mod, and then played nothing until teamfight tactics. So I'm glad I don't have to like open a second thing to play this thing now. This side sort of feature. I think it's interesting that League so readily rolled themselves into this. It's almost as if they had a stack of money waiting for someone to make something that they can completely repossess immediately. That's what happens when Tencent buys a large controlling interest in your company.
Yeah,
but
time to get that money moving.
As a game, I like it in theory. I'm not very good at it, but I'm not bad in a way that I don't want to play it anymore. It's more like I wish I knew how to be better at this.
Yeah. Now that we officially know Riot is working on a fighting game,
Yeah.
are you excited? Are you interested?
No, because we always knew it. Like as soon as they bought Radiant from Seth, and Seth kind of got folded in, I guess, to Riot, the only thing they would be doing is making a fighting game. So I'm glad they announced it officially, but they bought it in 2016. So I'm curious when we're ever going to see anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like saying we're working on it and then saying nothing else about it is, yeah, you might as well not have said it, really.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're going to get anything
4
out of Evo from this. Yeah, shout out to Diablo 4.
Yeah.
Like once they start showing this thing, I'd be interested. I'll be way more interested.
Yeah, I'm curious to see, like, is it a 3D fighter? Is it like
I'm curious
League?
to see if it's League related at all.
Yeah,
like,
is
it
it
going to be like a
in
League of
universe?
Legends fighting game, or
Is it 2D? Is it animated? Hand drawn?
I imagine it'd be 2D because, yeah, I imagine it'd be 2D because what was the game Radiant made was 2D.
Or is it more of an action game? It's behind the back?
It was more like it was like Street Fighter, but without inputs. Like, so all your special moves were on particular buttons.
Oh, yeah, I remember this game.
And they were on cooldowns. So, like, it was really just like a game of positioning.
Yeah.
So it's like a really simple game to learn, but like
Hard to
difficult
master.
to be any good at.
Yeah.
Which sounds like exactly it's like right up Riot's alley.
Yeah. And I think, like, I don't know, I was just I had a thought, one of my falling asleep thoughts that are just crazed and out there. But, like, if something like League of Legends ever came to Switch, right? Which I know right now I doubt it would happen, but, like, that game was, like, the most downloaded game in the world, right? I think there's just, like, so much of a market for Riot to just eat up on console that they're just not even a part of yet.
Well, the rumor is that it's moving to mobile next. I'm surprised that wouldn't happen sooner because, Tencent. But Tencent already owned a very popular League of Legends clone that is a MOBA on mobile. So
Vainglory?
No, it's so it has a couple names. It's I think Arena of Valor, but also known as Mobile Legends, also known as Arena of Kings or something.
I've heard of Mobile Legends.
It's one of those. It started out as literally just like clone of League, and right now it kind of still plays like a clone of League, but that has become wildly popular on mobile, and that is what moved to Switch. So,
and
it has already been it's balanced and designed around a touchscreen, but also kind of around fake on-screen controller stuff. Mm-hmm. So like the transition to a console wasn't very difficult for this game. I don't know how you transition League, which is a mouse and keyboard game, like through and through, to a console and have it feel the same way.
Yeah. I guess that it's credit to them that if they could have done it, they would have done it by now. And whatever, I'm sure.
I mean, they have the money in position. I don't see why they wouldn't have.
Yeah.
I mean, part of the problem might be like trying to support it the same way.
I think it could also
game.
It could also just be like they didn't think they could get it right.
Yeah. So why waste time? Yeah.
Why waste time?
TFT could definitely be on a mobile platform now, I think.
Yeah.
I have a question as someone who is not dialed into console stuff. Is it still as difficult to push patches to console as it used to be, where it took like, Xbox or Microsoft or Sony would have to like cert the patch for like 2 weeks or whatever, and it like cost a lot of money for a developer to put out a patch, like not significant amount, but a not insignificant amount of money per patch push to a game.
That's still a thing.
It's still
because if that's still a pretty pervasive thing, then that would be a huge reason why League wouldn't want to do that, because they need to update their game very.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
like
every 2 weeks at least.
It's things like Fortnite and like they've figured out ways around that. Also, like part of that is like updating server side instead of like updating client side. But there are ways like around that. Like Xbox Game Preview has like different kinds of levels of verification that things need to go through because they're essentially beta or early access. And I think that I don't know what the deal is with Dreams early access on PS4. Obviously, that's owned by Sony and that's Sony directly. So I'm sure they have more leniency, but they have things there that are definitely getting frequent updates. So I don't know. I feel like maybe if Riot wanted to get like special treatment for pushing patches, I feel like they could do it.
Well, I think Epic has like Epic money, so it's different. And Fortnite is a very special case because Fortnite alone has done things Sony would never do, or had gotten Sony doing things it would never do without it.
Yeah.
Like crossplay.
Yeah. Call of Duty's making it happen too. Like but that couldn't have happened without Fortnite, you know.
It couldn't have, and I don't think it could happen for anyone, right? Like, and it's a part of the reason why like Warframe's console version is always like a patch or two behind the PC version, is because of this too. They don't have the scope to update it all and get the certs on time for everyone and get it all balanced for console and the same way they do for PC. It's something like this, who knows, and what they could probably figure out with Sony if Sony is now willing to come to the table and talk about it at least.
Yeah, if you got enough money.
Yeah, really, if you got enough money. I don't know if you got enough money yet, but
Riot certainly does, but I think there are probably other factors at play here. So, but I think that's a good point to bring up, Tony. Like that's something I take for granted a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you had anything you wanted to bring to the table about League of Legends. I just started asking you questions, Jarrett.
I play it. I told myself this year I'd actually play ranked because I never really did.
Mm-hmm.
How's that going?
It's not.
Nice.
Very nice.
I don't play it enough to be any good at it, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Though I started from the bottom. Like, of course, I picked the.
And now you're here.
And now you're here.
I'm still at the bottom. I picked.
Welcome to here.
What are we talking? Like Iron 4?
Well, I picked the season where they added another tier at the bottom to start playing ranked. So I started at Iron 4, and now I'm Bronze 2.
Fuck
and
yeah, dude.
I'm like, Jesus Christ, this game sucks when you have to just run through Bronze. But then run through second Bronze. But I mean,
yeah, it just takes a lot of games. At that
really,
point.
you just got to play a lot of games. Like, there's no way to be better than a team that's not working with you or whatever. You just kind of have to play more than you lose, and then you'll be higher rank.
Yep. What are you tiered, Tony?
So both last season and this season, I played ranked for like 3 days, and went from somewhere in silver up to gold 4. So I did that last season, then I did it again like 2 weeks ago, where I just like fucking I'll play like ranked for 2 days and ranked back up. I could probably go higher because I'm still gaining a like significant amount of RP or whatever it is, LP per win. But right now I'm sitting at gold 4.
Hot.
A friend of mine did that. He was silver 1, I think, last year and the year before, and he like play enough to get to gold to get like the Victoria skin and shit. Yeah. But I think now he's like attempting to get to platinum. He's gold.
Yeah, I might
1 or 2 now.
I don't know. I don't have a lot of time, so when I play League, and the reason why I've kind of fallen on to League recently is something to play is because I can just play like one game for 40 minutes and then decide, do I have another 40 minutes to play this game? And if not, there's no commitment. I can just leave.
And that is kind of like an appeal for League for me. Like, I can kind of just play a game and then get whatever my need to play a video game feelings out in 40 minutes and then just walk away.
Exactly. Yeah, so I'm kind of in that spot, and we'll see. I've played a couple games since I hit gold, and I'm still gaining like 26 LP per win, which is really, really high. So I don't know. I don't know where my actual MMR is or where I'd actually end up if I played a bunch more ranked, but we'll see. It's kind of all I'm playing right now other than Switch stuff, so maybe I'll end up playing more.
Yeah.
Though they are making potentially massive changes to Aurelion Sol in the next patch that kind of completely change him. It's like a mini rework style thing. And in my opinion, it does not change him for the better. So I might not play him very much anymore, which is kind of unfortunate.
That's heartbreaking, Tony.
It's been a couple of those.
It really sucks. To be honest, it's really infuriating when they do that to a champion.
Yeah.
Especially when like I only really play that champion and he's the only one like him in the game. No one plays like Aurelion Sol. And no one has his play style. So if they take that identity away, it makes it very difficult for me to enjoy playing League of Legends the way that I like to play it. So we'll see. Hopefully, like they said, the changes are super experimental, and it seems like the overwhelming majority of the 30 of us that one-trick this champion are against the changes. So we'll see. they do have a history of listening to their fans as far as, do
Changes
they
are
want
concerned.
to make this massive change? Yeah, because I don't know. Like the champion has one of the lowest pick rates in the game just because he's so unique and so kind of out there. Though even though he's really strong, it takes a very specific skill set and a lot of dedication to be good at it. So most people who play Aurelion Sol pick him up for like 1 to 3 games, feed really hard, and they're like, all right, this isn't for me, and then move on to another one. So he's got a super low play rate or pick rate, but his win rate is pretty high because the only people who are playing him are, really good players at him, not like Yasuo, who has like an 80% pick rate or whatever. So everyone and their fucking mother is playing that champion. And some people are good, some people are bad, so it balances out. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully the changes get iterated on before they get pushed to live, because it really it shifts him from being a more like DPS centric, like long fight kind of like, he wants to be in a fight for as long as possible kind of mage and just put out that sustained damage. It changes him to just another fucking burst mage like every single other AP carry in that game. So we'll see.
Well, I think there's been this push recently, and it's how they choose who to tune and how has always been a very interesting thing for me to watch in League. Like they have these ideas for the roles, and the players have an idea that might be either completely different or like slightly different. And those things rarely seem to mesh when it comes to these niche characters. Like when they completely redid Aatrox, and that was like a huge deal because in the same vein, like there was nothing like Aatrox, and he was a low pick rate because no one understood him. His role was very weird gameplay wise. No one really knew what he was supposed to do that would be better than anybody else. He played like an old champion, lots of like point and click things, lots of just your auto attack gets faster and stronger, that kind of stuff that was popular years ago and not really anymore. And they made these big changes, and everyone was like, well, I really like this champion the way he was, and he was just seeing some pro play and like was doing pretty well. His pick rates were raising, and that's when they changed them, and they changed him into something that was now become difficult and almost impossible to balance. So when they take game health into account to choose to do these things, sometimes even they don't really know what that means.
Yeah, I think for as aside of like this champion just being basically like the only one that I play, it's annoying for me because it kind of sucks to see because they're just taking another very unique champion and turning him into basically every other champion. There are very few sustained damage mages where there used to be a lot, and really
or the ones they have now just aren't like don't do it the same way, like Swain or something.
You think of like Malzahar or something like that, and Malzahar, while he does it, is still pretty burst based, where everything kind of ties in his combo of putting his damage over time stuff on you, silencing you, and then as soon as the silence pops off, he ults you, so you sit there and his little dudes are attacking you, and then you die. Which that's all in one combo, and I think that making more and more champions that do the majority of their payloads damage in one combo really kind of it compartmentalizes how you play like the mid lane in general, and what champions you can use and what strategies you can use. So it kind of sucks to see them taking a unique champion and making him less unique.
Yeah, for a reason I can't really identify.
Yeah, it doesn't
why does Soul need this?
No one is like, the changes are not changes that will make him more popular. Changes are not changes that are going to be easy to pick up. In fact, I think they actually make him more difficult to play, which should be, it definitely shouldn't be what they're looking for when a champion that was already so mechanically inhibiting that people just wouldn't play him. Because like the big problem with playing Asol, if you don't know how to do it, is all your damage is tied to your positioning in a fight and how you position yourself to put the damage on them. So imagine taking that constant circle and making it so it's not a toggled ability where you can just make it big or small. Now you have to make it big for about 2 seconds, then it becomes small again.
Right.
So you have to know where they're going to be, where your stars are going to be, and you have to make sure that they're going to hit what you want them to hit, but without being able to see it
in the window that you needed to. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like it's increasing the skill cap, or rather the skill floor, and it's going to make it more difficult and to pick up the champion. So what are they trying to address? Like what's the change for?
The whole thing is without any benefit. So they're taking that skill floor and running how bad you can do through the fucking ground.
Yeah. It's just gonna hurt the people that are gonna try them out too.
And then for people who get good at doing that, there's virtually no reward.
Yeah. Because it was more interesting before.
It's not just that it's more interesting, is getting that correct does not net you that much more damage.
Mm-hmm.
It is essentially just a change that makes them harder to play.
That sounds like
without a benefit.
That sounds like some shit that would happen to a game that's like 11 years old.
It's all like kind of preliminary. I haven't had a chance to actually play with the changes myself yet, so my opinion could be completely invalid. And I, may come back a week from now having actually had a chance to play them on the public beta environment and say, you know what, I was fucking wrong, and it's great. But as an outsider looking in and reading the opinions of other people who are kind of respected players of this champion, who have tried it themselves, it seems like that people mostly agree that it's just kind of like it's a weird change that's kind of uncalled for. People have been wanting ASOL to get a bit of a change and maybe a bit of an update, but I think that the direction taken on this one is pretty rough.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of against the grain of what it should have been. So anyway, that's a lot about one champion in League of Legends who has like 120 of them or whatever. But
no, it's good.
But it's also like it's kind of like a great example of what happens, of how the weird, like we kind of like to jump on gamers for being like too sensitive when it comes to like things like this. Like people like to get really aggressive and really sort of defensive when changes are made to things they love. And I think the opinion that, quote unquote, like not woke Twitter, but like sort of enlightened gaming Twitter likes to take is like, maybe you should calm the fuck down.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just a game. But in reality, like one character that plays uniquely and is the reason you play basically because you like the way that person plays gets changed, and that removes it, then it removes your interest in the game. And it doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it seems to be dramatic.
Yeah,
it always seems to happen.
It's kind of a very small minority for this champion specifically because his pick rate is so low. There are probably like 200 Irrational Soul mains on the entire North American server, and I'm not even exaggerating. That's probably how few there are. And the average rank of them is platinum, because everyone who plays the champion is, it's very rewarding when you're good at it. So it's interesting to see. And for people like me who there's a mastery system that tracks like, your experience on each champion, and the amount of mastery points that I have for Irrational Soul is more than the next 10 to 12 champions on next highest 10 to 12 champions all combined, is pretty annoying.
Yeah,
to say the least. So
it's telling that it seems like they're going in the wrong direction. Just
we'll
again,
see. Like I said, I could be completely wrong.
Yeah,
and I will. While I definitely have some judgments already formed in my mind just from what I've seen and what I've read.
You're still gonna try it
before
out.
Going in. I'm definitely I'll go into it with an open mind, and if it's better, I'm not afraid to be wrong.
Yeah,
and it can just be better. But yeah, so that's me in League of Legends. I've been looking for a new champion to play in case these changes go through and they suck. I've been trying out other kind of similar-ish champions to see what I like.
Yeah,
which is not really a thing I want to be doing.
Yeah, I bet. Have you played any other games, Jarrett?
I mentioned briefly previously that I played Breath of the Wild.
It might have been bonus content. People need to know.
Yeah. Finally giving that game a shot.
Did you
when I say giving that game a shot, I have like 50 hours in that game.
Did you had you never even touched it?
I touched it I touched it at Extra Life the year it came out.
Oh yeah, okay.
I played like Nabishin's copy for like 10 hours.
Nice.
Um,
That's cool.
and it was interesting, and it just, that's not oddly enough, that's not enough to really get this game.
Mm-hmm.
At least it wasn't enough for me to see like what this game was, because then it was still like I still didn't really get like what people found like super special about it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now it's like I kind of get it. It's not like I don't agree with some of the takes that it's like,
the second coming of video
like
game Jesus.
the Jesus game.
It's it's Ocarina of Time, but good.
Right.
Like, I want to be the guy that said that.
But I do get it.
Is any of that stuff connecting with you?
It does. I like that it's a game full of verbs. Like, you can kind of like everything does something.
Yeah.
And the way they interact might be things you're not necessarily, or ways you didn't think of, like the way fire works, like how things can be lit on fire. Oh, you're in a place that's like you're in a volcano. Well, all your wood things are on fire now.
Yeah.
Also, if you throw it on grass, it creates like a updraft, and you can fly on this grass. And
you can fly on this grass. You know what I mean?
Know what I'm saying? Just all that's all very interesting. Again, there's plenty of things I think that could have been done to like just make playing the game easier.
Mm-hmm.
That would not have taken away from this fucking vision. I feel the same way with parts of like Red Dead 2. Like, I don't have to look at a book that's a ledger. Like, I get it. But,
yeah.
Like, does that make playing this game any more fun?
I feel like that's like every aspect of Red Dead 2, at least for me.
But I think in a way they committed to that for some artistic purpose. I get it. It's just like,
yeah,
do I want that?
Do I want to play that?
Cooking in Breath of the Wild, I don't think was done for any artistic purpose. I think it was like you should just do this, and then like we're not going to take very easy modern steps to make this easier, like shortcuts or like a menu
or like a recipe menu,
like
remake. Yeah. I'm with you. The cooking stuff in particular certainly stands out to me. But like,
well, like, doesn't it look like the whole menu was designed for a touchscreen?
It does seem like it.
Mm-hmm.
But like on the Wii U, you can't use a touchscreen. Like in the Wii U version of the game, you can't do it. It's just insane.
Right. So when at what point in development did the touchscreen leave?
Yeah. At some point, you could probably touch the screen in that menu and just drag and drop things, and it was probably easier. But they took it out because they moved it to Switch, and then the game got hurt more just for the fact that it was on 2 consoles. Twilight Princess all over again, man. Single tear drips down my face.
But no, I didn't love the combat at first, but once you play it enough, you kind of get why the combat is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of the clever ways it makes you sort of use everything you have or everything you can have. And it really does have that sort of Deus Ex, like, you can solve this probably a bunch of ways if you're clever enough.
You can climb this wall if you figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't care how wet it is.
I don't care how wet it is.
I like to what you're saying, like a game with a lot of verbs. I think what's cool too is like the way they made that game. It is almost, I don't want to say it's designed, because maybe it is, but it doesn't feel like it. But all the things will probably happen at some point, or at least it feels like it. Like, I think you're gonna run into a lot of the craziest shit that can happen in that game just by playing it.
Yeah, and it does create lots of opportunity for you to
go nuts.
For nuts things to go near you, for the weird shit to just happen around you.
Mm-hmm. And some of that stuff is really cool.
Everyone can have a story, like a unique story to tell about weird shit that happened.
Mm-hmm. It's like Far Cry 3 all over again, man.
Yeah.
Let me take you back. I'm glad you're digging it. I wasn't sure where you would end up on that one. I know you were kind of unsure as well.
Yeah, I'm glad I gave it a shot.
Mm-hmm. I think you waited the right amount of time, though, to be fair, for yourself especially. Like, I think you probably would have had less fun if you played it in the heyday.
I think so too.
And I think that's fair. Like I don't think you're in the wrong for that. I think there was just you could say that for like a lot of games that came out in 2017. A lot of people felt that way about Persona 5. A lot of people felt that way about Breath of the Wild. I felt that way about Nier, where a lot of people love that game, and I just did not.
Right.
So I do get it.
And I'm not I'm not a 3D Zelda guy.
Mm-hmm.
So this one was on the fence for me. But like this feels like when people say open world, like this feels like what the next step of that should be.
Do anything?
Where a lot of people just want to kind of do Skyrim again, and like I'm kind of glad we moved past that.
Yeah.
And this is a good example of why we should move past it.
Yeah, like the fact that there's just no loading screens when you're walking around in Breath of the Wild is pretty cool. You just go in and out of buildings and dungeons and places.
And literally the mountain over there you can like jump on if you're there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can figure it out.
Skyrim still has that, like going into corridor places where not a lot of fun happens.
Right.
And there's a lot of it in the game. Anything else you got, Jarrett?
Infamously, I've been playing Sonic 06.
Yeah, I've not watched any of the book club for Sonic 06. I'm saving it until it's all done. If you guys survive,
There's one more episode, and I think I may have negotiated my way into like doing this in a way that makes sense, and in a way that doesn't involve us playing the end of that game.
Yeah, maybe. How are you feeling about Sonic 06? Tell me where you expected to be and where you actually are.
I know that I knew that game was bad. I feel like that's
all three of
been
you have
history
been
books.
on now, or Logan, George, and you have been on. I gotta have Scott
on. I just don't understand how. I didn't understand how bad, and in how many ways it's bad. Like in any conceivable way, a video game can be bad. Sonic 06 is bad in that way. I don't think I've ever seen a game be so bad at so many things that it's trying to do at once than this game.
Is it got like a point where you don't know where to go?
It's more like it's so poor. It's so rushed. Clearly, like this is a big game that was made in like 6 months. So like there are so many things that just aren't like not even unpolished, just broken. Like there are so many things that are just broken in this game. I don't get it. The game wants you to do a bunch of stuff, and it doesn't even have real ways for you to do it. Like it wants you to go up here and climb this thing and hit this switch, but like it may not have developed fully how to do that.
Platforms to get there.
Yeah, like real platforms to do it. There's like 9 Sonic characters, I feel like, and like they all suck, and they all have unique abilities, I guess, but like half of those abilities are any good.
What does Big the Cat do?
There is no Big the Cat.
Fuck yes. The one good things about Sonic 06.
Like these characters can do things that they don't even tell you they can do, but they're required to get through things. Like the first time you meet Knuckles, like everyone who knows who Knuckles is knows Knuckles can climb. But if this is a game that's supposed to be like a reintroduction to Sonic in the universe, which I think it was supposed to be, at no point does it tell you Knuckles can climb. But you're supposed to climb things. But Knuckles can climb. You have to climb to get through the game. So like, you don't know that until you just run up against a wall real quick and he starts running up it. You're like, oh shit, I guess he's just scaring up this wall.
That's awesome.
And even when he does, like, A, the animation is hilariously bad, and B, like, there's the limits in which he can climb are like not well established. So he can just climb onto the ceiling sometimes by accident. He can glitch himself through stuff by just like shimmying up and down while climbing on a wall. It's just incredibly bad. The music's bad. The sound design's bad. The characters are written so poorly, and many of them are voice acted poorly. There are scenes in this game that are just empty spaces with like a thing in the middle, and you're like, I don't fucking get it. Like, why is this even here?
It's art house, dude.
It's like so abstract that maybe it has to be on purpose.
Is there ever a point where like you zoom out and it's like a live action human dressed as Sonic putting a garbage bag in a garbage can?
I wish.
Honestly, that would probably elevate this.
If that's the real end, then I get it. Then.
It all
was
makes
all for something.
sense. It was all for the bit, dude. You can't.
Yeah. It was one like 20-hour long bit.
Honestly, that is what Sonic 06 is, I think. Indirectly. Maybe not intentionally, but
It might be.
so
Someone fucked up.
you have to play through Sonic has a story, Silver has a story, and Shadow has a story.
And if you play through all of those stories, there's a fourth final story.
So in Sonic's story, you're bouncing back and forth between Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, I assume.
Yes. Every character has like support characters
Mm-hmm.
in certain missions.
Who does Shadow have?
Shadows gets supported by Blaze at one point, and I think you play as Silver at one point.
Okay.
And they all have like sort of unique stage, I guess, features, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Sonic has like stages where he just runs really fast, and like it's like he's running on like a fixed track, and you have to like slide around things and avoid stuff that's coming at you at like light speed.
That sounds awful.
It is awful. Shadow, like he can get in vehicles and shit.
What?
So Shadow's a secret agent for the government in this game.
Oh my god.
He works like he gets orders directly from the president.
Follow
It doesn't tell you the president of what, but you're heavily implied that it's America.
America's run by hedgehogs. I knew it.
And I think they actually do say he's like from the FBI. So like, definitely America.
Jesus Christ.
But literally you like glide in with like missiles and shit, and like you roll up in like a vest, like a Jeep with missiles and like hovercraft and machine guns and shit. I'm like, what the fuck? Silver has like psychic powers, so he like has to solve puzzles by moving blocks and shit. Like, it's all bad.
Wow. Yeah, that is like I didn't know about the story stuff. I know Sonic kisses a human girl. Spoilers, Jared.
Yes, she kisses a human girl, and it's really weird.
Yeah.
It's weirder than you think it is, because lots of people have seen the video, like that scene, but not many people have played the rest of the game to get to that point.
And you learned that there was really no setup. It just kind of happened.
Kind of, yeah.
Excellent.
But yeah, the rest of the context of like every other character is like, yo, the world is like there's a problem, like there's a creature that like ends the world eventually, and we're from the future to like prevent it from happening, and like there's all these conspiracies and shit. The Sonic's just like, yo, I'm here, I run real fast. Oh look, this pretty girl's in trouble. Let me just like, you know,
I'm gonna fuck that
her,
human.
And then you're like, I guess they're gonna fuck, and then they kiss, and it's weird. Sonic's like super oblivious to all this other shit, and nobody else says anything about it, and it's like, I can't be the only person that feels like this is weird.
All these people at Sega must know how weird this feels.
And nobody else like has a relationship with a human except Sonic and this person.
Not even Silver?
And Robotnik. Like Eggman and this princess are the only two humans that interact with these animals at all, and the rest of them is just like animal interactions.
Jesus.
So it's incredibly weird to me that like we just treat it like it's okay.
She's treating Tails like he's some dumb fucking fox off the street, and she's making out with this hedgehog. Like,
yeah, and I'm like, yo, this is a hedgehog. He's 2 feet tall. Like, you can't do this.
Stop this. It's almost over. On the plus side, you were picking next for the next book club. You gave us some choices, but do you have an idea of what it's going to be?
Not yet. Like, I'm pretty sure I've got it narrowed down to at least like 2 or 3, but I haven't decided yet. I have to think about the game I want to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I'd probably want to play all of them, but it's like a balance between length and like what would make a good game to make content about.
Yeah, I agree. It'd be fun to get Scott or Tony in one of those. I feel like that could be good. You were talking about doing Warcraft 3 as one of yours.
Yeah, but I don't know how much like access to PCs people have.
Yeah, it'd be tricky, but it'd be cool to have you on that, Tony, because I know how much you love that game. Although we would be playing through the story mode, so I don't know if that's like
story mode in Warcraft 3 is real good.
We probably wouldn't be doing competitive, but like like Tony just said, I think the story mode in Warcraft 3 is particularly good for that.
Mm-hmm. I think once that remaster comes out,
That might be worth it. Yeah,
It'll
So
be
you
a lot
can-
more
it's
accessible.
Way easier to find.
Yeah.
I just happened to have a disc that I found when I was moving.
A Warcraft
So,
3
like-
disc just around.
Yeah, I have the Warcraft 3 that in the expansion. Like, just had in my closet apparently.
Mm-hmm. Is that all you've been playing, Jarrett?
Yes.
Cool. That's some good game talk. Tony, did you have any other video games that you've been playing?
A little bit of Fire Emblem.
Okay. What do you think? Have you put any more time into it?
About another couple hours.
Okay, I've not played it since last week, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've gotten to the point where you are like custom instructing your class.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's a little bit more than I wanted out of Fire Emblem. Like, I don't know how much I want to do that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, just like, because I've done it now like almost 4 times and only actually fought with them like once since that started. So I don't know. Maybe like as I understand it better, it'll be easy.
Well,
But I feel like I'm spending a lot of time looking at stats that I don't, that I haven't used yet.
I also know, and like Nintendo has said this, right? They talked about this at E3, so I don't feel bad talking about it here. But like, I know at some point there is a big separation of time, as with many Fire Emblem games, and I think you do get away from the school stuff just altogether.
I'm not disliking it. I'm just not sure. Like, it hasn't justified itself to me yet.
Yeah.
And how much effort it wants me to put into that. And I'm already like, I feel like, we were saying last week that the big hub area is so big.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of getting burdensome as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't started like, just beelining for stuff yet. I still kind of go and talk to literally everybody. So I think that may just not be the correct approach with this one since it's so expansive.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It's like I've kind of like gotten to the point where, and it's also that I've played like, maybe 4.5 to 6 hours total over 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty separated when I actually get a chance to play. But I spent a lot of time building up towards actually playing the game. And I don't have a lot of time to do that. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I gotcha. I don't disagree with you, Tony. I see where you come from. I've not put as much time into it, but there's a lot of it, and it's hard to know much with a lot of Fire Emblem games unless you're like really mapping out your characters and kind of the path you want them to go on. It's hard to know when and how that stuff's going to pay off exactly.
Yeah, I did order a gambit in
Yes.
the one fight that I did, and that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I like that the enemy can't move after you've done a gambit on them.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely going to be a big strategy.
I was popping off like 3 to 4 hearts every single attack.
Oh yeah,
So,
get people loving each other.
It's like, hell yeah.
These students are about to start fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I
kind
like
of
that there's a weird teacher like relationship in that game.
yeah.
It's neat.
Yeah.
Very Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah, that's a good call out. Like I don't know, I'm curious to see how they like set up those relationships and stuff because I'm sure they're not going to go like too weird because you are the teacher of these students. But
Do you think that I can marry the old man teacher?
I bet
I hope that I can.
he
I
seems-
would, dude. He's super into crests.
Yeah,
He's super into crests.
yeah. He seems like
I feel like we could bond over that.
just an outgoing young man, and by young man I mean old man. He's got a
Young
nice
at
he's got
heart.
a nice like beard situation though.
Yeah, he's young at heart. It's all right.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
A bit of Mario Maker. But yeah, I don't know. Mostly like my gaming has been like, when I have some time, I'll play a game. But otherwise, it's been mostly, unless Scott remembers something that I did that I don't. Oh yeah, we played GTA 5 online a lot this week. I forgot about that.
Not
Nice.
me, but yeah.
Yeah.
But Scott,
Yeah,
you reminded him of it in your own way.
And I think I'm done with it already. But it was kind of neat. We popped in for a while, just kind of driving around, and the casino update came out, so we were playing around in the casino.
Causing trouble.
You can't really,
There's no trouble to cause.
not really. Like everyone who's playing the game, kind of like plays by themselves. Like they just do their thing.
Yeah, but
There's not really a lot of interaction between
and if there is, like, they come up, like, immediately try and kill you. And either you kill them or they kill you, and then you respawn somewhere else, and maybe they'll come and try and kill you again, or what. That's most of the human interaction. I think in one of the games that I was in, like one of the sessions, someone said in chat, "Hey, let's do a car show at the casino," and like 2 dudes showed up to show off their cars. So it just felt like there wasn't a lot going on in there other than like the casino stuff that had just come out.
Back in my day, there'd be a shootout.
Yeah, right.
At the car show.
Exactly. People would blow up all the cars.
That is Grand Theft Auto style, and it seems
it's just like there's a lot of stuff in it that requires a very large buy-in as far as like capital the content, because you have to buy buildings that unlock content. And the ways to get that currency are kind of limited, and it's not really fun because you're just doing it all by yourself. So it kind of wore thin pretty quick.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
It was fun for like 3 days though.
Blessing Adeoye wants me to play that game, and I told him I love Blessing. I would rather die. But I'm glad you had fun with it. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Cool.
I think that's pretty much it.
What about you, Scott? Video games.
Well, first, you completely ignored me.
Yeah.
When I told you to introduce me, and we could talk about how I figured out how Luby.
Oh my god, I did totally forget. I want you to elaborate now, Scott.
Okay. So I'll do it very shortly.
Okay.
But as your brain operates, just in general, it releases a chemical that causes Alzheimer's.
Okay.
When you go to sleep, it releases a different chemical to clean that one up.
Okay.
Right. And when you just have too much of the Alzheimer causing chemical in your brain, it does not function properly.
Okay.
So when you're sleep deprived, you act funny.
Oh yeah. Well, do you know what this chemical is called?
No. I did at one point when I learned about it, but I don't anymore.
That's why you gotta sleep. I didn't know that. I hope that's real science. Some doctor out there is like, I don't know what the fuck Scott Guthrie's talking about right now.
Scott's lying to these people.
No, I believe you, Scott.
Brain waste, essentially.
Brain waste.
It can build up.
Yeah, that's true. And you can go crazy. So, what's it? After 72 hours of being awake, you can start experiencing permanent brain damage, I believe. Which sounds like a good time. That's why Extra Life is only 1 day. I think somebody, Jarrett, at one point, like it might have been Logan, brought up the idea of doing a 48-hour Extra Life. And I think I outright said, fuck no.
Yeah, do you want to... That's how I fly to Austin and just kill him.
Yeah.
Those are the takes that get you killed.
those are the takes that get you into some fucking trouble. What have you been playing, Scott?
I beat Sekiro.
Nice. Congratulations, dude.
Yeah, it was a... The last fight wasn't too bad.
No, I think it's about even for a final fight.
Yeah.
Do you like it? Do you like the ending?
It's one of those Dark Souls endings. It's like either you did enough of the side quests and found enough and read it deep enough into the lore to understand what's going on and or care about it,
or you didn't. And the world burned, and then darkness returned to the world forever. That's true.
Yeah, shit like that.
There's 4 endings to Sekiro.
So now this one's much easier to follow on that regard, but it still doesn't get away from that. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I got like the quote unquote true ending, right? Which basically is do the most bullshit. Again, the bullshit you're talking about, Jarrett, that I like. Everybody knows I like bullshit, so. It's me getting all excited about CG trailers, and Jarrett's just like about to text me, but then decides against it, puts away his phone. It's like I'll just let him suffer. Yeah, they do the most bullshit, and you get this still very like obtuse. Like I think I'm like 90% on what happened, and that's because I was trying. I was like really trying, but even still, it is very ambiguous. It is the way of things. Even like the bad ending, which is really cool, is very ambiguous. I get you, Scott. Cool. Are you gonna go back and do any secrets, or do you feel pretty done with it?
I feel pretty done with it.
Yeah, the only thing I would want you to see is like the other version of the owl fight, which I think is pretty cool, but it's certainly not necessary. It's just kind of a reimagining of that. It has a lot of new mechanics to it, but you're still fighting the owl, and it's still 2 bars, and it's it is what it is. But I'm glad you played it. Thank you for playing it. I know. I recommend many games to you, Scott, and I'm very appreciative for all the ones that you do end up playing. So, cool. Now you're ready for whatever From Software's next game is. Dark Souls 4, Bloodborne 2, a new game, just Tenchu, but for real this time. We'll see. Did you play anything else?
Not too much, no.
Okay.
So overall, the biggest issue that I had with Sekiro is kind of samey.
Yeah.
The prosthetic arm was much more secondary than it should have been.
Yes. And the thing that we talked about in our many conversations about Sekiro, Scott, like that you could kind of feather the parry was like the one criticism that I kind of elaborated on in my review. That's kind of a bummer, I think.
It's like slow the game down. Don't let the player do that.
Mm-hmm. And the bosses that make you like really pay attention to when they're attacking are the best bosses, are the most interesting, and are the most challenging. So yeah, I'm with you. Don't feather.
So that's why I like the last boss fight, because sure, you could feather parry a good chunk of his attack. If that was your go-to strat, your guard was getting broken.
Oh yeah.
Because it's 70% successful, and that's not good enough as far as getting good damage on them.
Yeah. Something I mentioned before, like I love that the bosses in that game are designed to like you need to lower your margin of error to as tight as possible. That's cool. Did you ever play Sekiro, Jarrett?
Yeah, I played at launch, and I got to what's his name?
The horse guy?
No, the guy that kills you initially.
Oh, Genichiro.
Yeah. And I never got past it because I think I had to move on to something else for review, and just like momentum is taking me away from that game.
Mm-hmm.
It's still on my PlayStation. It's still there. I had to throw lightning at the dude and kill him. I just never went back and did it.
Go back.
I want to. It's like a great game.
Well, spoiler: you can't go back and kill him.
Yeah, you got a lot more. You got a lot more video.
That's how you lose your arm, and you got to move on.
Oh, not the first fight. I imagine the second one on top of the.
No, yeah, he kills you the first time. I just didn't remember his name, but that's the guy. When you find Genichiro at the top of the tower, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, I can do stupid bullshit too." Cool. And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
In New Game Plus, I don't feel bad talking about it now, but in New Game Plus, I went back and I beat him in the fight. And if you beat him, he like falls back and he's like, "Fuck, I wasn't supposed to lose this." And he looks over, and then somebody shoots you, and it distracts you long enough for him to cut off your arm. But it's a different cutscene, which I thought was kind of cool.
Sometimes I like when games do that.
Yeah.
When they're like, "Oh, I guess you chose the go with me option, so I guess the game ends right now."
Yeah, I guess we're rolling credits. We didn't really want to, but we have to now. Yeah. Cool. Is that all you guys got?
Mm-hmm.
I played. I feel like I don't have a lot to talk about most of these games, so I'll try and go through it quickly. But I played a bunch of stuff. Playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is a weird experience. It doesn't sit as well. I mean, it's certainly No Russian does not sit well with me. I'll just be upfront with that. Like that today, especially.
It didn't work at the time, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't think it worked at the time, but at the time, no one was doing anything like that. So, like, it was at least new. Now it's just like actively does not work, and it seems like a thing that shouldn't be in that game. But we'll, I'll have a venue to talk about that. Played more Destiny 2. I think we'd be in that raid, but I've been just chipping away at it, playing a little bit, doing my dailies. I've been playing Pokemon Black. I'm going to be on the limited edition episode about Pokemon Black. They're playing through all the Pokemon games in series order, and we were recording that Sunday. I've not finished it, and I feel very bad, but it's like a 25-hour game, so and I'm playing too many other games. I wanted to talk a little bit about Dark Souls Remastered, because I played through Bloodborne with a friend of the show, Justin Graffius, the Sigma Omega himself. And that was great. It was his first Souls game. He wanted to play through it with me. Because I got him and I told him to get it. I made him buy it. We played through it front to back, did the DLC, did everything. Great experience. Honestly, some of the most fun I've had. It was fun playing Bloodborne with Justin specifically. Now we're playing through the Dark Souls games. This was his idea, not mine. But I did say if he plays through Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 with me, I will play Final Fantasy 14. I've never specified how much I will play it, but I will play it. I'll give it a shot. I'm going to try and play through the story at least.
I'll go with you.
You want to do
Same.
it? Tony, if we all go in, that'd be way funnier. I don't know if Justin wants everyone else, because...
Dude, come on, man. I'm sure he'll pop up in the chat in 2 seconds and be like, I mean, Tony's all right, but Scott, fuck no.
Yeah, it's cross-play on PC and PS4. I've been playing on PS4, so it's definitely doable. That'd be fun. We should do that.
Yeah, the important thing to do with those, especially if you're going to play in a group, is set that day and time every week.
Yeah, and we might have to. Justin and I have just been picking it. It's easier with two people, obviously, but just picking it up. Dark Souls in the evenings and playing through that game again. So I'm finally actually playing through Dark Souls Remastered. Before I kind of got to like the halfway point and stopped. Not that there's really any differences, but I'm sitting playing through it. Man, I do not like Dark Souls 1 that much anymore. And I know Scott's been ringing this bell for fucking years, but
when I played a little bit of it, I guess it was at the Nintendo booth because they were bringing it to the Switch. I was like, I don't know about this game.
Yeah. It's like, I played this game before, but I don't know about this game.
Yeah, like I could just play like 2 or 3 and not 1 ever again.
Yeah, so I got 2 because it was on sale, and obviously we're going to play that next. And we're in the back 9 of Dark Souls. We are in the point where we're hunting Nito, Seath, and the Witches of Izalith, and we just killed the Witches of Izalith. So we got the other 2 left to go. And I made sure we did a lot of prep before we went and got the chalice and all that, or the Lord Vessel. So we're pretty much near the end. I asked Justin, like, do you want to play through as good guys or bad guys? We actually did bad guys, which was fun. So we went into the abyss and met up with the evil lizard serpent dude who still eats you, which I've only ever done once with Dark Souls in the many, many times I've played it. And that's been fun.
I'm sorry, but you didn't choose the Dragon Covenant, so you're wrong.
No, we actually went to the Dragon Covenant.
Okay, good.
Which is
I thought you went to a different one.
We've been switching covenants around a lot because they made it easier and remastered for kind of necessity. But like I'm trying to show Justin all this fucking game, this whole last game. Dragon Covenant is like the least convenient place to get to. But we went there, met the big stone dragon. He's chill. I told Justin if he joined the Dragon Covenant, he could turn his head into a dragon. I don't know where he's at with it. We'll see. It's pretty cool. Justin says, "Let's go," in response to Tony and Scott.
Okay.
I'm sorry I ever doubted him.
Yeah, no, he's been trying to get everybody to play for a while.
It's true. Yeah, I don't know. Dark Souls 1 is just like... There are parts about it that are just grueling. Like, you think the bad part of that game is when you have to go to Blighttown, and obviously on the original version, it ran at a very poor frame rate. And it was just a literal slodge to get through. But then, like, you get after it, and it's like, man, like, some of these Honor Londo parts are also not great. And then you get to, like, the next part, and it's like, man, this Team of Giants, like, this in the darkness down here, It's not super fun, honestly. And then you get to like the forest where everyone's invading you every 25 seconds. It's like, man, I don't know if I ever had fun with this game. I definitely had a lot of fun playing through Dark Souls like on Twitch in 2012, like when I ended up doing that. But yeah, it definitely has soured for me a lot coming back to it, and really like playing through all of it again. The thing I like about it, and like my favorite thing about it, of the connected world and kind of being able to get anywhere, I still like, and I still think it's cool, but it's also not implemented completely. And I think something like Dark Souls 3 kind of does it a little bit better because it feels like you're going somewhere.
Yeah, that's. You're talking about a different thing, but it's definitely a case of you've now played the better versions of what this game was trying to do.
Yeah.
Because not all of the sequels tried to do what Dark Souls 1 did.
Yeah.
But they did touch, but over the course of making all of them, one of them touched on something in some way.
Yeah. And
then you also went back and you did that retrospective playthrough of Demon Souls.
Yeah.
And it's now I feel like Dark Souls 1 doesn't do anything necessarily better than the other games.
Yeah, I think like
it's not that it has a glaring weak point, and it's not like some of those things can't come close. But I think if you point to a very specific thing in Dark Souls 1 across the From Software genre, you can find another game that does it better.
Yeah, that's fair. They've certainly iterated way better. And I love Sekiro. Like, Sekiro is probably my favorite game by them at this point. But, Dark Souls 1 was that for a long time, and I really do love it. Like, there's nostalgia there. It's just, like, I see a lot more of that bullshit, The bullshit is brighter this time than it has been in the past. And I think that is, like, the turning point for any game. But, that's exceptionally true, Scott. Everything that Dark Souls 1 has done, another one of From Software's games have done better.
Which we should expect. That's how iteration happens.
Yeah.
And it's at the time that Dark Souls came out, I can guarantee you that wasn't true.
Yeah.
Even though they're a pretty old company.
Yeah. And, like, Demon Souls had, like, I think a lot more ideas, and Dark Souls just takes that and makes it, I think, a lot more accessible and make a lot more sense, which is a lot to say because Dark Souls arguably doesn't make a lot of sense. But yeah, I've been playing Dark Souls 2 like on the side to get ready for when Justin and I play it, and it's like, man, I actually really like Dark Souls 2. And I liked it a lot. I loved it the first time I played it. And it just kind of wore out with me. And going back to it, and I know Scholar of the First Sin is like rebalanced and reimagined a little bit, and I'm certainly at a point where like some of the dragging issues that I originally felt with Dark Souls 2 are coming back. But I really like what it's doing, and I really like what it actually adds to the first one.
Have you gotten a giant club yet?
Not yet, but I've been playing more strength build for you, Scott, and it's been fun. I used a two-handed sword for a little bit, and I was having a good time. So
yeah, you gotta get your hands on a two-handed.
I gotta get a club. I know
two-handed and swing that overhead swing. It's not a very good move, but it's very funny.
I'm pretty sure it may or may not be, but I'm pretty sure all of my Dark Souls 2 playthrough is archived on YouTube. But the highlight of that entire playthrough is absolutely me getting stuck on the old Iron King and summoning Scott in to help me, and Scott just shows up in underwear with a big club, and he's like, "We're gonna take care of this." and I was like, "Excellent! I would want nothing more." And
this is exactly what I wanted.
This is exactly what I wanted. And on the first try, I died, and Scott was fine. And on the second try, Scott killed it. So it was like exactly how it should have gone. So yeah, for sure, I will look for a giant club for you. We got code for Blackout Club, which is a new multiplayer like Left 4 Dead style game, and I loosely call it a Left 4 Dead style game. It is like going through a kind of urban or suburban environment, and kind of performing objectives as a cooperative team. But it it looks and kind of feels like Left 4 Dead. It feels like kind of Source Engine-y, not in a bad way. The whole thing is it is like a horror game. So it is a group of teenagers. There's a whole story about it. I don't want to necessarily get into it. It's a lot. It's a horror movie story. Like, you say no more. But you're a group of teenagers in a town at night, right, where all the adults are like sleepwalking under the control of this kind of organization, and they're all antagonists, right? So you're kind of creeping through this town, trying to find video evidence, like you're recording evidence on your cell phone of these kinds of crimes and the cover-ups and the lies and secrets going on in this small town. So it's cool, like you're working together. If somebody gets caught, the other players can help them. It's scary, it's tense, right? Because like they're enemies that don't necessarily see, but they're following you around. You have to make sure you don't make a lot of noise. So it is more like a cooperative stealth game in a lot of ways. There are ways to fight back. You can get weapons and things like that. But it's very objective based, and it seems very story based. The Blackout Club is what the kids in this group call themselves, and they are trying to gather this evidence. I've only played like the prologue, so it's like a kind of very narrative opening mission, and a couple of missions with Justin, who's the one that kind of brought it to my attention. And I know Logan is playing it as well, but it seems cool. It seems like another one of those games. It does remind me quite a bit of what was it? It was a game we played at PAX. Do you remember this, Jared? The Pop Agenda one that launched on Discord.
I want to say it's called Last Night of something like.
Maybe.
Jesus.
I can't. I don't even know what I would search.
And it kind of worked.
Yeah, and it was cool. I think that was like the when I played it, that was in like a school, and you were kind of going through a gymnasium and going through like the locker rooms and certain classrooms, whereas this is like out in the neighborhood, right? And like the levels I've played have only been in this kind of one set neighborhood, but you're opening windows, climbing through windows, unlocking doors, and it's like 7 or 8 houses on this block, so there's a lot of room to explore. And then in one of the houses, or in some of the houses, are these secret entrances to these underground caves where this organization is based out of, and there's a bunch of crazy shit down there. So it's a very big environment that, like, you want to be aware of where you are in it, how to get out, where are the exits if you need to run, and where are your comrades. So that's pretty cool.
It sounds a little bit like what's that game? Dead by Daylight. Maybe.
Yeah, I think Friday the 13th would be another kind of valid comparison too. It's certainly not as big an area as Friday the 13th, but it is like levels designed like Left 4 Dead levels. In size and scope, and also like some mechanics that are reminiscent there. But so far so good. I've had a fun time with it. It certainly seems like it's not a AAA game. It's not silky smooth, and it's not like perfect looking. But I like the charm that it's going for, and I like the kind of teenage, like, kids fighting against horror monsters vibe it has.
Mm-hmm.
The only other thing I played this week was the new DLC for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. The Hero came out. I know you played a little bit with us last night, Jarrett.
I did.
Hero is really cool. It is like, the Sakurai has a full breakdown video of it if you want to go see it. Obviously, the 4 Dragon Quest heroes are the 4 skins, and he's got an MP bar that he has to kind of be more aware of, but his down special will open up a random list of 4 commands from Dragon Quest, and every time you open it, it could be different. So he has like 30 plus moves that he can do out of that menu, and it's a really cool idea for a character. Some of them are broken, but those ones typically take a lot of MP, so they can't be spammed, and that's all random, of course. But I'm really impressed with how he works and how they implemented him. Again, just knocking it out of the park kind of once more. How did it feel to get back in Smash, Jarrett?
I always like Smash, like, in passing. Mm-hmm. Like, Smash was never a game I ever really had an interest in, like, really committing to. But, like, I always like playing it when I do.
Yeah.
I'm, like, alright with Bowser and Incineroar, so I feel like I could play with people. Just, don't expect me to win any.
Yeah, Incineroar has a tendency to throw himself off ledges, like you pointed out.
Yes. He's like real big risk reward, but like the reward's real good. So
Yeah, and he's fun. And he smiles when he hits people, which is always good.
He poses like whenever you hit stuff. It's like too much a little bit, but I like it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just too much enough. Yeah, I like we streamed Smash Bros last night on Twitch. It's up on YouTube too if you missed it. So there's not too much to say. It was a lot of fun though. I always like playing Smash Brothers with random people that jump in. Even Tony hopped on the Discord for a little bit just to say hi. So it was fun. That's really it for video games. I think and there might have been other stuff, but they probably weren't important. I play a lot of old games. I've been all over the map lately because I haven't been able. I wasn't able to get into Fire Emblem. Maybe I will this week, but we'll see. We're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about just a little bit of news. We didn't pull any questions this week, or at least I didn't. I don't know if you got any, Jarrett, but
some people have asked.
So maybe we'll go through those real quick and we'll make some bets and we'll throw it out. So we will be back in just a little bit.
You actually had fucking thumbnails for these ones.
Yeah, I made after the Zelda stuff. I made thumbnails for Paper Mario.
Look at you.
I very much inspired by the Game Grumps. Please tell me that you couldn't tell, right?
Oh no, I couldn't tell, especially by the IP434 with the Game Grumps orange background, and a stylized. I feel like it's an Aaron face.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't tell.
Yeah, we talked about Game Grumps that episode, I believe.
So what else we got?
I mean, I didn't even need to put thumbnails on the podcast.
Then we got IP447 with Sean Pitts. What else we got?
Jared's like moving on.
Yeah, that aged well.
IP257 with Brent Range.
Can you imagine us doing like 434 episodes of this fucking podcast?
No.
262 with Michael Martin.
We
263.
I say
with
often
William
that like
Mullins.
if we get even close to episode 200 input, I'm just leaving.
264 with
I want
Cameron
this
Abbott.
to end.
That's a guy. I know that guy.
Man, Cam's not been on forever. I feel like he was on earlier this year, but I still miss him.
He was on an input, I think, this year.
Yeah, he was on multiple, I think.
265 with Barrett Courtney. 269 with Jarrett Green.
265, the first one with Barrett on, was the week my house blew up.
Was it?
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah,
we had Barrett on the week my house blew up. It was.
Then there are 10 beautiful episodes of Alex Plays Omega Quintet with Tony.
Fuck yes, dude.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Have you ever gone back and watched that? Because I have.
Nope.
It is.
Oh wait, no. There are more parts. There are 20 parts.
There are 20 parts. Yeah. It is a fucking trip, Tony. Honestly, go back and just watch the last episode because it's when we did the dancing music video.
Oh shit, I forgot about that.
But it is such a trip.
I like looking at what guests we had on. It was Trevor Starkey, Danny Juarez, Ali Mushka, all in a row. Man, we were having guests on like every week at this point.
Yeah, we did that earlier this year as well.
Yeah, then we had Justin on.
We have fits and spurts.
Who else we got?
All right, I gotta take us back, Tony. So if
I'm having fun looking at stuff.
If you just want to look at stuff, I'm gonna have to ask you to do it on your own time. So we got news.
Isn't this my own time?
Is it? Do you own my time? Is it my time here?
Ooh.
I guess it is your time. All time is your time if you're there.
True.
It's fucked
Time's
up.
also an imaginative thing that we
All
create.
right, this is less interesting
also
because
fair.
now it's like 1 year ago stuff. So okay, I'm
Yeah,
done.
it's like I remember that shit. Not really. All right. That's not how audio is supposed to play. It's supposed to have noise, actually. Excuse me. News in gaming.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is everything coming out of your microphone pitched higher than it's supposed to be? Or did you change the news and gaming music? I'm only just now noticing it because that's the whole pitch of that.
So it wasn't just me who was like, this sounds different.
No, I was like, Alex is very high pitched today.
Is it just this whole time it's been like that?
The entire show.
You guys got to tell me.
Maybe I only
I thought maybe like you regressed through puberty a little.
No,
And I didn't want to make you uncomfortable.
All right, let's see if this fixes it.
I still don't know what they're talking about.
I didn't notice anything different until you played that audio.
Yeah, right. Something that I heard 400 and
Not that many. Is it better now?
now you have no audio.
Oh, you just can't hear me?
Now I hear you though.
Is it better now?
I think you sound like normal Alex O'Neill now.
Jarrett
Could you
Green.
play the news and gaming music for me just in case?
Yeah, I can. God, the fucking audio for the show is going to be messed up.
It's going to be so good.
No one in the chat said anything. Maybe the
Yeah,
audio.
because everyone's just like, I don't know, Alex is talking like 2 pitches up today. It's weird.
Alex, Nicole said, I agree. I thought he was sick. Guys.
Yeah, see, so did I. I thought you were just
Which is fair because you're off.
If it like it's been very bad before where people have said something, so I assume it maybe just didn't sound terrible.
It didn't.
I guess we'll find out.
I don't think it sounds bad.
Are we back in regular measure territory?
Yeah, good.
All right. I guess let's talk about some news. Whole first half of this fucking podcast audio is ruined. Let's talk about Some news. I pulled some things. Evo stuff is happening. Like I said, don't have the latest deets on that. Some characters are coming out for some fighting games. I think E Honda is coming out in Street Fighter 5. It's the thing.
And Poison.
And Poison.
And some new chick.
Some new like cop from.
Yeah, some cop, some fucking cop.
Some fucking cop. I bet George is excited wherever he is. No Man's Sky Beyond update. It was revealed. I think the Game Awards.
A couple with the original Beyond update.
The announcement of the Beyond update. It was coming to VR. Maybe that was E3.
Yeah, it might have been E3
or around there. It might have been that actually might have been in one of those PlayStation Directs things that they do. But anyway, the date came for that. I think today or yesterday. It's coming out August 14th, so it's going to add VR support for PC and PS4. It's adding some kind of multiplayer meeting aspect, some kind of new aspect to multiplayer. They were shy to call it like MMO-like, so it seemed like maybe some kind of social space. And they also teased some kind of new aspect to it, maybe narratively, that they're just not going to talk about it yet. But it's out in 2 weeks, so less than that. So we'll know soon. That's cool. I'm Tony, I know you had mentioned like a couple weeks ago that you were going to maybe look into No Man's Sky. I think maybe when this is out, this is the time to do it.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm waiting for.
It's cool. I'm glad it's got a date. Everything I've heard about No Man's Sky since the next update, which was the big update from last year that added multiplayer. It kind of launched with the Xbox One version last summer. Has been very positive.
I played a little bit of it. I feel like I should have linked up with someone else and played it like multiplayer to really get into it. But I kind of bounced off it for the same reasons I kind of bounced off it originally.
Mm-hmm. It seems like it has a better understanding of what it is and its audience at least. But yeah, I don't know. I don't necessarily know if it's still going to be something I'm into, but we'll see. And the only other story I pulled was that Destiny 2 Shadowkeep got delayed. Destiny's never been delayed before in any capacity, which I was actually surprised to hear. Certainly it should have been.
Yeah, some should say. Some say it should have been from the first one.
From the first one. But yeah, they deleted it. Or deleted it. Jesus. Delayed it. I'm also having a day. They delayed it 2 weeks, so it's not terribly too late. It's October 1st now. As opposed to the original September 17th date. They didn't necessarily say why, but it just sounds like it needed a little bit more time. It's cooking. And a lot of people speculated, a lot of the kind of bigger Destiny players speculated that it will likely have something to do with like making the launch smooth, and making it kind of like a good experience out the gate versus having some kind of rough patches. And this is certainly some kind of expression of their freedom and ownership of Destiny as well, I think. This is a decision Bungie could make. I don't think it was a decision Activision would let Bungie make before. Or certainly doesn't seem like it, given what we've heard about the development of Destiny and Destiny 2 in the past. But a big thing with this that a lot of people are actually excited about is the expansion will launch on October 1st. The raid will launch on October 5th, which is actually that Saturday. So it is going to be the first Saturday raid, which a lot of people who raid in Destiny are excited about because it is a less I have to go to my day job or, kind of set aside for this. It is like we can start Saturday morning and go all day for the people that are going to be racing to finish the raid, which is cool. But yeah, I'm not worried really at all. I'm still excited. I've still been getting back into Destiny, and the seasonal stuff that they've been adding to that game has been really cool. I'm curious, Jarrett, is there anything that would get you back into Destiny 2 at this point?
I don't think so. Like, Destiny is good in fits and starts, I think, for me. But I don't know that I would really want to commit. I would need probably like it had to be handed to me. Basically, I made no investment to get in, and please just play this.
I'll take that. Don't tempt me, Jared. I'm not above dropping $60 to make somebody play a game with me.
Because I definitely, I know I played at launch. I think with you guys a little bit. It's just since
I have fond memories.
Other content.
Very fond memories of playing the King's Fall raid with you and Jacob Bryant and Tony Horvath.
Yeah, I think that was the last time like I played with a solid group of Destiny.
Yeah, that was
I
fun.
think I ran through the main stuff in 2, I think, by myself because I think I rented that probably.
That sounds familiar. And that's like I think a more enticing like campaign to run through. It's a bit more fun than the first one.
I mean, there's like a story. That's
yeah.
cool.
There's like there's like actual.
There's like a
cutscenes.
villain.
There's a character, one at least.
Yeah, one character.
Yeah, it's cool. They're going to this expansion. The raid takes place in the Black Garden, which is very rad. It's the final mission from the original campaign at Destiny 1. That was arguably very bad.
And you're like, oh, that's it. And then they're like, it's the Black Garden. It's a big deal. And you're like, are you sure?
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure it just showed up and closed the portal. So
yeah, they're like, oh, you won. You saved us. Okay, cool.
Now going actually into the Black Garden, going back to Venus, gonna be very cool. I'm very excited. That's all I pulled for news. Did I miss anything?
I mean, you missed one like enormous story.
I know, but like that's very much like an input story. I guess we do have you here, Jarrett. So the ESA, the Electronic Entertainment Software Association.
Yes.
God, it's a large international organization. Although I think it's like predominantly based in the U.S.
It's basically an American organization.
Yeah.
Like they say it's international, but that's not really true.
They're the ones that run E3. They're kind of like the ESRB is connected to them, at least. I don't want to say a full subsidiary, but probably. And they have a website for E3 for people to register. There was a page on that website that linked to a PDF file or Excel file, a spreadsheet with the personal contact information, including like cell phone numbers, home addresses, and email addresses of over 2,000 attendees on the press side of E3. There was just a page of that up on the E3 website. If you went looking for it, you could click a link and download that document. It has been taken down after somebody, I don't know who this person is. I guess they've certainly caught a lot of flack for it, for good reason. Somebody found the document, posted it, and said, "Hey, the ESA accidentally had this up on their website," and that was how they decided to deal with that. It's been taken down, but boy howdy, that's a big faux pas.
It's rough.
That's rough. A lot of people already getting calls, emails, letters, death threats, the kinds of things that you associate with when people's personal information gets leaked onto the internet.
It's kind of insane because it comes from the ESA runs E3. The ESA is kind of it's video games like official body. And by that I mean like it's when the government wants to do something about video games, it's the ESA who are the first responders, if you will. They're the ones, and they are not necessarily lobbyists or they're not very good at it, but they are the people who speak to the government directly for us on our behalf. So for loot boxes, that was the thing. The ESA is who responded to censorship and who made the ESRB so that video games weren't regulated by Congress. So there's no one who's supposed to have their shit together more than the ESA.
At least in video games.
Or at least when it comes to video games. And that they basically not only was this leak like happen on their watch, it's like the way that it was so incredibly easy to do is baffling.
Yeah, it's very possible that people could have been finding this page and downloading this document for
months,
for maybe months. Yeah.
Knew. A lady found it eventually. She put it on her. She made the video about it. I think the details of the timeline in which she posted the video before notifying whoever should have notified at the ESA and making sure it was taken down is still in dispute, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I think the problem, the dispute isn't really the length she went to try to make sure it was safe before it happened. It's more like the question is like, how responsible is it to blast the information up on your YouTube site, a YouTube video at all, ever? But yeah, I mean, that's just like us being afraid about one person's action right now. But when in reality, no one knows how long this has been up there.
Yeah, this could
and people are keeping quiet about it up until now.
Yeah, this could be really bad.
So class action lawsuit could definitely be a thing, and like this is not something that's gonna just go away, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear a full conversation about this on input. Like, there's a lot to say. Like, I think, you know, like, I was worried.
And there'll be a lot of reporting between now and whenever we record.
Yeah, I think we'll maybe have a better idea of maybe who did this or why they thought this might have not been a problem.
Yeah. The ESA's response was
very
trash.
Bad. Yeah, and it tried to like kind of bounce culpability so much. But yeah, like I don't feel bad saying about it, because I think like we should be critical, especially us on this side of it, be critical of the organizations that are supposed to represent video games. But like, I've not heard a lot of good things about the ESA and like internally them respecting one another, let alone certain outlets and certain developers and certain companies. But this on top of that just seems like they're not on it. They're not paying attention. The people running that don't care or not invested enough in the things that matter. Because like, you know, this list wasn't just the Jason Schreiers or the, you know, the Kotaku writers and the Polygon writers. This was like streamers who applied and got in that probably put their home address as their business address.
A lot of freelancers.
I was worried myself would be on this list, but I registered.
Probably, I know some like investment bankers and shit are on the list because they are analysts for like sales and data for E3.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the journalists not just in gaming spaces, but like and like ABC and like CBS. Like,
yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big fuck up, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just right there on a web page. You could just go ahead and click and download that document.
Yep, in an Excel sheet, they can just easily organize and search through.
Yep. So that happened today, right? That was this morning.
Yeah, that was this morning.
Which things never happen on Saturdays, and usually when they do, they're terrible.
Yeah, nothing good breaks on Saturday.
Yeah. It's a lot. But I'm sure we'll hear more about it over the next coming days. Evo, I think, is like kind of overriding it right now, but I'm sure once the dust settles on that, it's going to be a lot of people pretty pissed off that they're getting a lot of phone calls from strangers that seem to hate the things that they talk about.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see. That's it for news. Let's take a peek in the mail sack. Mr. Jarrett Green, what you got?
So, upon my arrival to the drop zone of the Irrational Passions podcast, I solicited questions from the audience.
It's such an elaborate intro for this.
The questions are of a specific nature.
I love this filling time, just getting the Twitter up, just like
that, and I was waiting for like the music to start.
Yeah, you're good. I got it.
No,
I
the
appreciate
segment
it.
works.
It's true.
I asked specifically for people to ask me wrestling questions.
Oh my god, why would you do this?
Because I feel like IP requires this talk once in a while.
We owe it to them. George was on like 2 weeks ago, dude. He fucking had you covered.
That's true, but I wasn't there. So, Cameron Abbott writes exclusively for me. Duh, I asked for it. Anyway, if IP was a wrestling stable, what would each member's roles be? How successful would you be? What would the entrance music be?
Ooh, this is a lot. I mean, I assume by roles, like, does he mean like heel and babyface?
So heels and faces, but in a stable in wrestling, there tends to be roles, quote unquote. There's like a leader guy. There's like a set of people who may be a tag team.
Oh yeah.
And there's like another person.
I
who's
know.
around.
I know a tag team right now that I can name with my heart and soul. I don't know what you would call Tony and Scott, but I know every time they show up, it would be fucking hype.
Yeah, it'd be them together, and it makes lots of sense.
At some point, like Tony
So-
would definitely throw Scott at somebody. It'd be great.
Yeah,
Can't
absolutely.
confirm.
Yeah.
Scott would probably launch at someone, and then Tony have to pick him up off of that person and throw him at a second person.
Exactly.
I feel like Alex has to be the leader.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, because of like you are.
And I'm a baby face.
Yeah. So this is a face staple, which doesn't happen very often.
Okay.
So in wrestling rules, being outnumbering people is kind of like a heel thing to do.
Okay.
You don't bring your homies to fight people unless you're a bad guy, or unless you need homies because somebody else has homies because they're bad guys.
But like, I think Arthin would be like, my homies really don't like me that much. And like Nabish and Scott Tony, like they're just like, you know,
They
Tony
just
Scott.
kinda keep showing up.
Tony Scott got their own thing going. They're fine without me. They're just kind of. I'm just there. Honestly.
I think Nabishin is clearly like he plays this sort of wild card role that most stables need. He's the person that's like either like the hype person, like a hype man manager situation, or
For sure.
they're the person who's in the weird matches.
I think both. For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ric Flair was famously this in both the Horsemen and Evolution, because Ric Flair's that guy. I don't know if you know anything about Ric Flair.
I don't.
80-year-old Ric Flair is the same guy he was when he was 40-year-old Ric Flair.
I hear
He's just out here doing shit.
I hear he's like, yeah, doing shit.
He's with the shits.
My roommate, my best friend Damien, who you know, Jarrett, who all of you know,
Has a very deep voice.
very deep voice, loves wrestling, hates wrestling, as anyone who loves wrestling
Like
does.
any wrestling fan does.
Yeah. Hates Ronda Rousey. I don't know where you're at with that, but
She's like not a great person. She's kind of like just a trash human.
yeah.
But like, so as a person who's also like been in combat, like been adjacent to combat sports for a while, knows a lot of fighters, watched a lot of fighting in my day. You gotta stop like taking people who are fighters as like heroes or examples of like
Good people.
like moral people.
Yeah.
Like the people who get into this business and like succeed in it are probably people who, if not themselves are like compromised, live in a world that's very compromised. So they, and plays by rules that like not like the normal world can't play.
Yeah.
So
Not
like
everybody
John
can
Jones
be-
is like routinely arrested and suspended because he loves cocaine and strippers and like
Yeah, but like who
PEDs.
doesn't? You know what I mean?
But like he's also like you can't be here waiting for that dude to be like a role model for the kids. It's not gonna happen.
Tony Scott, you guys gotta think of like a tag team name. Just think about it.
Yeah, that's your
gonna-
homework.
It's gonna
Okay.
bother me until we have like one to call you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I think one time my roommate showed me a video of Ric Flair where he like cut his head up and he was covered in blood. That's about all I
It
know
happens
about.
to him a lot.
Yeah, that's about all I know about Ric Flair. So
That's all you really need to know.
cool.
Like, yeah. You know Ric Flair then. He also buys expensive things and babbles a lot because he has a lot of brain damage.
Cool.
And also routinely almost dies. That's the new Ric Flair. He spends lots of money on shit. He gets married like for the 6th time and almost dies.
Sounds like he's living his best life, honestly.
He's lived a really hard middle of his life, and the end of his life is getting way rougher than it should be because of it.
I bet. But he's trying to make the best of it.
He's trying. Yes.
What else you got?
Let's see.
Any more
what's the
wrestling
next one?
fucking
IPQ.
questions?
Yes. Michael Ruiz.
God damn it!
From the
Of
show.
course, all these folks would fucking show up for.
They
these
were waiting for
wrestling-
this. The
these
streets needed
wrestling
this.
questions.
Alex, the streets needed this. Do I think Kofi will return to SummerSlam? Yes. Now's not the time for him to lose. You gotta ride that train till it's over. And Randy's a good person to win against because Randy's really good at his job, and him winning right now would make a lot of sense. But that doesn't make a difference. WWE does what they want.
Everybody likes Kofi, right? The KOF.
Everyone likes
guy.
Kofi now. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's a rags to riches story. He's like an 11-year veteran that's like fresh on the scene again.
cool. I'm into that.
Also adjacent to Xavier Woods, who's adjacent to the Kind of Funny community. So it's like a win for everybody.
Yeah, everybody likes that guy.
What are my thoughts on AEW? AEW is a counter, like a new brand. There hasn't been an American brand that's been on TV and been like considered or talked about as a particular competitor to WWE since I guess really WCW.
I've been hearing a lot about AEW from my roommate.
I don't have a lot of thoughts. I'm a big Cody Rhodes fan. I think he really wants to be what his father was for wrestling, and is really like has that same against all odds approach. So I want to see the homie win. I don't think I necessarily care about AEW right now, but like when it's on TV and like there's something I actually watch, then I'll take it in.
Cool. All right.
I think there's only one more. Let me find it. Silver PR.
Of course.
Rounding out the trifecta. Will AEW make 1 million viewers?
It
on
hasn't?
average once they go to TNT.
I thought it would have already.
So they've only done like shows, like pay-per-view stuff. Right now, they don't have like a weekly show yet.
Oh, okay.
When they do I think they'll get 1 million viewers on average? Maybe initially. I think it really depends. I don't like. It's hard to tell how many people actually care about wrestling, and lots of WWE fans are fans of the WWE and not necessarily wrestling.
Ooh,
if that makes sense.
That's a good point.
So
I'm going to mention that to Damien. I think he'll appreciate that.
I don't know if AEW is interesting enough to people who are not just wrestling fans.
Yeah.
Like, what can they do to get people who would be watching something else, like a reality show at the time?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Their stories.
Right. Their stories, if you will.
My stories are on. It's just a bunch of naked men rubbing each other.
I mean, there's a story.
There is AEW,
Let me tell you.
baby.
I tell you what.
There is a story to tell, that's for sure.
Best faction, in my opinion, on WWE TV. It's the OC, because it's just the club that everybody wanted. And I like that those two dudes get to do something except drink too much and like not work on TV. So I don't really like AJ Styles. He thinks the world's flat. Ooh. I mean, it's hard for me to respect someone like that.
Yeah, that's tough. I had to stop listening to B.O.B., you know? I honest to God did. It bummed me out because I like his music, but
was it you? I was talking to somebody else about B.O.B. literally yesterday and about this.
It wasn't me. But it's
how like he rode the wave in 2006 or 5 when people like
he rode the wave right off the fucking planet. Is what he did.
Where like a bunch of basketball players are like, I think the world's flat actually, and then he's like, yeah, I think you're right. But he's been a conspiracy theorist like
he's
the entire time, but no one gave a shit until recently because nobody thought they were taking it. No one thought they were serious until recently.
Yeah, now we're like, oh no, he was real, and it's like,
oh no, he thinks the world's flat.
No,
he thinks it's an inside job. No, he thinks they're reptilian people that live inside the earth. Okay, I can't take this dude.
We all got to draw our own line somewhere, and I think I found it.
Yes.
Fair enough. Yeah,
so
AJ Styles also thinks the world's flat.
So it's not like. So he hasn't like confirmed, right? Like I think the world's flat, but he had some skepticism. Had some we should listen to both sides argument about it when it was brought up, and I was like, I don't like that. There are two sides. The world's round. It's a 3D object. You've flown around this world several times. You know it's round. Yeah. I don't get it. World traveled man who spent lots of time in Japan on the other side of this planet. Like, what's the deal?
Yeah.
And why does your hair look like that?
It's more of a personal choice, but yeah, I get you. Well, thanks for the wrestling questions, everyone. Let's get to the end of the show. Real quick, I just want to give us a little outro here. If you like this show, follow Jarrett at Jarrett John on Twitter. Check out his other stuff. Obviously, Jarrett's the best. Goes without saying. Thanks for coming on, Jarrett. It's always a goddamn pleasure.
No problem.
If you want to be a part of the show, kind of like the folks that tweeted Jarrett, you can tweet at IrrationalPod with the hashtag IPQ. You can send us an email, mailsack at irrationalpassions.com is the email address. Leave us a voicemail, 404-590-1337. And we will play it on the show if you want us to. If you don't want us to, then don't send us a voicemail. if you like the show and the website as a whole, then you can just follow us on Twitter. Irrational Pod is the Twitter. Irrational Passions is the Instagram. George has taken some time off to do a new project, so I don't know what's going to happen with Twitter, but we're going to figure it out.
Twitter time to go back in the hole it came from.
Twitter is going to get wild, I think. That's like the only acceptable result. Some other stuff, rate and review us on iTunes or Stitcher or Spotify or Google Play, wherever you're listening to it. Give us a rating there. It would really help us out a lot. Check out Input, which Jarrett hosts, or Video Game Book Club, which Scott White hosts, our other podcasts on irrationalpassions.com. And for everything, Irrational Passions. Irrationalpassions.com is just the place to be. New stuff every week. Stuff to look forward to. Good stuff, features, reviews, the things you like. Let's talk about bets.
Give it to me.
Bets. How many, this week's bet. How many, this is inspired by Evo, so we'll see if this is a good bet or not. Who knows? How many total viewers will Dragon Ball Fighters have on Twitch this time next week? So,
This time next week?
yeah, so after Evo, I want to know if people are going to be riding the Dragon Ball wave this time next week.
So, specifically,
Mm-hmm.
are we saying like when you go to Discover and then you like
Yes.
float over the Dragon Ball Fighters thing? What will be the number?
Yeah, what's going to be the number? Total viewers of the game Dragon Ball Fighters this time next week. Which is, this is a tricky one. This is definitely like, I don't think there's any rhyme or reason to this bet. You're going to have to kind of follow your heart.
Well, it's tough without context, right? Like I don't remember these specific numbers right after last year. I know during Evo it was the most watched game.
Yes.
But since it's kind of plummeted.
Yes. And I normally I would have like the week to week for you, and I would be able to give you like in a normal week how many people are watching. Obviously, this is not a normal week, but I think that adds the kind of excitement factor. This time next weekend, are we going to be riding high off of the Evo fight still, or are we going to have moved on from Dragon Ball Fighters altogether as per usual? I don't know.
I think I'll be riding higher than normal.
You said
but
viewers and not followers, right?
Viewers,
yeah,
yes.
because I think it has a couple million followers. But I don't think viewers have I don't think it gets many viewers outside of like a couple thousand normally. Like it may, I think you'll probably get like 10,000 maybe, which would be high I think for it.
This time next week?
Yeah.
Damn, that is high. It has 172 viewers right now, just for reference.
Well, remember everyone's watching Evo now.
Yeah.
But like even after the even after this big moment, like I don't know that the viewership for Evo was for Dragon Ball Fighters is even all that high either.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I think the hype, not that the hype's died, because it's still a fun game to watch, but it isn't the runaway success it was this time last year. That's for
Gotcha.
sure.
I like that. I appreciate that perspective. Scott, what do you think?
800.
All right. Tony?
400.
I said 1,600. Got a nice spectrum. I like the high bet, though, Jarrett. It's bold.
Yeah.
Last week's bet, Madden NFL 20 releases on August 2nd, which, boy, howdy, that came and went, huh? Can you believe it was this early this year, Jarrett?
No, I can't. Like, they're just like, I don't know, get the fuck out of here. Just get it on the streets. That's what the kids need.
This is what the kids want. This is what the kids need. In the IGN review, how many times will the word Madden appear? I'm not going to include the title. Just the text. Let's see. Boy, that's a lot. So I said, just to get our numbers out first, I said 10. Scott said 17. Tony said 1. Jess said 11. Damn, Jess Price is right. I bet that's what it's going to be. It's going to be 11 on the dot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Scott's saying
7.
1 is such a troll pick.
Yeah. No, Tony said 1. Scott said
Tony
17.
said 1.
17.
Also known troll.
Also true.
No, that doesn't count. 14, 15, 16, 17. 17. Jesus, 18, 19.
So I definitely won at this point.
Yeah,
Huh?
20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. I want to have the actual number. 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. 32 times. That was a lot. It's hard, to be fair, hard to write a review about Madden without saying the word Madden. Just like it's hard.
Without saying the name of the game.
Yeah, it's hard to write any review without saying the name of the game a lot. But you got it, Scott.
Right. That's why I was like, it's gonna be. It's the name of the game.
Yeah, it was a good call. I was thinking that it might be somewhere in the medium range. That was definitely in the high range. But they were talking about the previous Maddens, and they were referring to them as Madden 19 and Madden 20, Madden 18. So that it makes more sense. 8.1 out of 10. Great, according to IGN.
I heard the story mode wasn't great.
That's a bummer. They've been doing some cool stuff with it in recent years. Let me see who wrote this review. Give him this shout out. Robert Kohlers. Never heard of him. Shout out, Robert. Good job.
He's probably their Madden guy.
Probably their Madden guy.
Maybe not. They probably don't have a Madden guy. He's probably a Madden guy.
He's a Madden guy, and they're freelancing him in.
Yeah.
More than likely, but...
Which, that's what they do with sports games a lot of time.
Shout out, Robert. Get money, get paid. You know what I'm talking about? That brings Team Dublin down up to 21 points, and Team about to bust a bet at 23 points. Jarrett, Team Super Pink Girl Powers at 3 points still.
Nice.
I will, if you'd like, you can change the name.
No, because why go through the effort? I know I'm going to be vetoed at some point anyway.
Everyone has just declined changing the name, given the opportunity. I just love it. I think everyone but Scott, Mike, and Quinn have gotten a chance. So you, Logan, George, and Jess, who made the name initially, all had the opportunity to change it again and chose not to.
At this point, it's like we have 3 points. What am I trying to prove?
Well, you guys get extra points if you get it right. So if you get this,
yeah, due to some of the events that we do, we have to somehow incorporate the S back into that. So I think at this point, each one of your bets
it's worth like 5 points.
5 points.
So
even better.
You can catch up. That's it. That's the end of the show. Thanks everybody for hanging out, for listening if you're listening at home, or for watching if you're watching at home. I appreciate it regardless. Thank you to Danny Wiesner for our opening music of Two Player Co-op and our closing music of The World Is Saved. Always shout out. Great songs. Great dude. Thanks again, Jarrett, for hanging out.
No problem.
This wasn't terribly too long. We're at the live stream started 2 hours and 50 minutes ago.
I feel like I've been on longer, but like,
I mean, bonus content's in there. We took a couple breaks, and then there was also like 10 minutes before we went live. So it makes
fine.
It's fine.
My car's in the shop, so I had nothing to do.
Yeah. What are you gonna play? League of Legends?
As a matter of fact,
actually,
I mean, we down.
Yeah, we down.
I'm not. I'm about to go fucking insane sitting here for so long. Not even joking.
I know. I can tell. Tony's like on the brink right now. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Scott, for joining me as always. Nabishan, I hope you're having fun in Vegas. I love you, bud. I love all you guys all the way around. All the big hugs. I've been your host, Alex O'Neill. Play your games. Stay rational. We will talk to you all next week. Titles.
Yeah, I gotta get there. Hold on.
You're good. I can post a link if you like.
I'm already there.
Oh, I see you. See that anime GIF come in. I'm like, ooh.
I got Take Me to the Meat Space, Breaking Aurelian Soul's Heart, and You Can Fly on This Grass.
Shout out to at any point saying you can fly on this grass. What do you like, Jarrett?
Meat Space is good.
Meat Space is good. I think that was before we went live, though, so nobody would get
really, like, is that count?
It still counts.
It'd just be for us, though.
Well, the thing is, we explain it here. Tony made some stuff on the grill, and now people know. When he was talking about all the meats before we started the show. Take me to the meat space. And that's the joke. That was it.
Now you get it.
Now you get it. It was fun. You guys had to be there. What do you like, Tony?
The meat one is okay.
Okay. Do you like other ones more than the meat one?
I'm new.
Okay. Scott, what do you like?
Grass.
I like grass too. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. You can fly on this grass. I guess
we can do grass.
That makes it a tie, huh?
no. Jarrett said we can do grass, no ties. I'm tired of ties. Ties all day. Jarrett, I'm gonna write you. Do you know it? Do you know it by heart, or do you want me to write it out?
You're listening to the Irrational Passions podcast, episode 434.
You got it. I'm gonna have you do a clean take because I need it. But
This is what happens when you're on the show too much.
it's true.
It's like riding a bike.
It's part of you, man. Except I can't ride a bike, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't like
Every
that.
time somebody says that to me, I have to say that back, and it's still funny. Never not gonna be funny to me. All right, I'll say the title when you're ready, Jarrett.
I'm ready. You are listening to the Irrational Passions podcast, episode 434.
You can fly on this grass.
Sounds like weed.
It's like weed, because it is.
Because there it is. Excellent. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a good night, everybody.